All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the. Oh, I'm sorry. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We'll pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Abba? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accuse you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All praises be to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Christina, you a part of the club for this thing here, man? I don't know if I added you to that joint. I think I did. You ain't got to raise your hand if you want. You can just comment in the chat, but I think I did. Matthew 5 and 17. Said what you were saying though, man. I couldn't hear you, bro. You can unmute. Right. That jump was a little okay. That jump was a little difficult. You got to remember, Christine, I'm old. I be forgetting stuff. Yeah, man. Buddy jumped on Facebook, still running his mouth about that, man. A pure goofy. You know what I'm talking about? And it's other things that I could say. No, I told him straight to his face. He played with his Bucci. He a pussy, a coward, and a buster. But he deserved that because he got out of pocket. Because people think, oh, you believe in Jesus, Yahushua, you think, nah, bro, you get this word. And I'm going to tell you why he got that word. Because he claimed to be a teacher of the word. You know, we don't talk to common people like that. But when you say you a teacher of the word, shalom, Brother Reynolds. Amen. You could get this word, boy, because I'm not one to be played with. You're not going to play with me. You know what I'm talking about? Period, point blank, because I can be very disrespectful, and I ain't got no problem doing it. You know what I'm talking about? And if you go look at the Lord ain't had no problem being disrespectful with them scribes and Pharisees, if that's what needed to be done. You know what I'm talking about? Matthew 5 and 17, though. But the gist of what we were talking about, shalom, Brother Ellis, and I'm going to show y'all this here because he didn't catch a point on something we discussed earlier, so I'll hit y'all off with that. Other stuff, man, you know, it just is what it is, man. Get the likes up. Matthew 5 and 17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Oh, yeah. We on both, Christina. We on both. But truly I say unto you, till Shamahim and the rats pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law to all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of the least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of Shamahim. Whosoever shall do and teach the same shall be called great in the kingdom of Shamahim. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no wise enter into the Malkut for Shamahim. One of the points that this brother meant to mention is something that we talked about on Wednesday, that the law has no room for mercy. Now, he wanted to go to Leviticus 26 to say that there was mercy here in the law. But let's look and see what it says. He also mentioned the point. Didn't we reference David on Wednesday? I believe so. And we know that Yahuwah showed David. See, what a lot of brothers don't realize is the mercy of Yahuwah is separate from the law. The law does not give space for mercy for a transgressor. One of the things that I tell you all the time in Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, you know what it say, Michael? Well, you ain't got to know because I'm finna tell you. He said, because a sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, it is privily in the hearts of the sons of men to do evil. So because Yahuwah does not render judgment immediately when people do sin, they get it in their mind that they can keep on doing sin. One of the things that this brother got misconstrued was this. He said, if you repent, you can be forgiven. I need y'all to understand that repentance and forgiveness are two separate things. Let me tell y'all something. Did you know Ahab repented? Did you know that? Do you even know who Ahab is? Oh, that's unfortunate for you because you've been taught that. You weren't paying attention. You know who Ahab is? Who is Ahab? Shoot, don't do it to yourself. Who is Ahab? Lee, you better help out. You got your husband, you better throw a lifeline. Oh, he got to look it up. We don't want no look it up.
I got to confuse somebody.
Lee, you know who Ahab is? Oh boy, I'm finna whoop you, Lee.
Because I'm thinking about the priest that was killed by Saul and his people.
Oh no, Ahab way after him. Boo. You better. Who is Ahab, boo? He the king. What Ahab had going on, boo? That was Jezebel's husband. Yeah. But what did he do? He killed what's his name? I forgot the guy's name. He ain't kill him. He didn't kill him. He didn't kill Nabal. Jezebel put that plan together. He went along with it. Jezebel also, his wife was killing the prophets of Yahuwah. He went along with it. And then when it was time for him to die, he repented. And Yahuwah said, you see how he humbled himself before me? He said, I ain't going to kill him today. I'll kill him later, though. Y'all ain't know about that, did you? You ain't know about it. No, you did. Come over here to 2 Kings, man. They ain't know. They just like John B. Make sure I'm in the right spot. 2 Kings 22. Is that what I want? It might be Kings. Make sure I got the right thing that I want for what I need.
What are we referring to with Ahab?
Ahab. I'm going to show you that Ahab humbled himself before Yahuwah, and Yahuwah said, I ain't going to kill you right then, but he did not put Ahab's sin away. That he did not do. He just killed them later. See, one thing that people get mistaken is this: Yahuwah does not owe you repentance. And just because you repent does not mean that that man is going to forgive you.
Would it be 2 Kings 21?
I think so. I think that was
13.
Yeah, I think that was. Because what he told him was, I'm gonna still kill all your sons. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I mean, that's the story, but that's when he did what he did. Boom, boom, boom. I gotta go when Yahuwah come around here and get on his head about it. Come over here to 1 Kings chapter 21 and verse 20. 1 Kings chapter 21 and verse 20. Cain did repent actually, and he got some level of mercy because he said this punishment was too much for me to bear. See, because this is another conversation we're gonna add, because I was talking with a little homie about that earlier, man. And it's apropos with what we're dealing with, right? Because a lot of people don't believe that the law of Moses, that anybody had it before Mount Sinai. But how do you know that people before Mount Sinai had the law? What would you go to and point to show that these people had the law before Mount Sinai? What would you be able to isolate and say this is evidence that these people had the law before Mount Sinai? No, we were talking about Mount Sinai being representative of Hagar and Sarah and the covenants from Galatians chapter 4. But this is a different conversation. Yeah, 1 Kings chapter 21 and 20. And we'll look at that also, Muffin. Yeah. Oh, no, not at all. I'm talking about the law. In the Garden of Eden, right? I thought you referenced that because they had law before because of the Garden of Eden. After the Garden of Eden, they got the law. You say Genesis said they had the law based on what you're talking about. They had a tree of knowledge and good and evil. Yeah. The minute Adam learned the law, he began to teach that to his offspring. That's how they got it. You know what I'm talking about? And then of course you get down later when you're dealing with dang, it's escaping my brain. What you get with Melchizedek. You know what I'm talking about? But which is what we'll probably be discussing tonight. But they had the law because of Adam. You know what I'm talking about? This is another instance, and little Johnny just put that on there, and Stanley put stuff on there. But I'm talking about, but before, for Noah to get it, he had to get it from his daddy. Who had to get it from their daddy? Who had to get it from their daddy? Who had to get it from their daddy? Who got it from the son of Elohim? You know what I'm talking about? That's how they got it. And it's easily proven, but you have to pay attention to the nuance in the text in order to see it. You dig? So 1 Kings chapter 21 and verse 20. Let's look at this. Then we'll go to Leviticus 26 and 40. And Ahab said to Elijah, have you found me, O my enemy? And he answered, I have found, because you have sold yourself to work evil in the sight of Yahuwah. Behold, I will bring evil upon you and take away your posterity, and will cut off from Ahab him that pissed against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Yasharal. See, at this point, Yahuwah has already condemned this man. And he wasn't going back on that judgment. Once the word of judgment leaves the lips of Yahuwah, it's over. Do you understand when we was in the wilderness and he turned around and said, I swear in my wrath, these people won't enter into my rest? That was a wrap. You know what I'm saying? This is what people don't understand. Once the pronunciation of condemnation leaves the mouth of Yahuwah, you're finished. There's no reversal. You know what I'm talking about? Now, can he extend mercy and extend the judgment for a little while? Yes. Is he going to reverse it? No. You know what I'm talking about? How do we know this? Because he came to Moses, he said, hey, man, let me wipe these people out, and I'll make a people greater than you. See, that wasn't a pronunciation. He stepped to Moses and said, hey, I can do this here, right? Moses said, nah, don't do that to him. He said, I repented of the evil that I intended to do. Because he hadn't pronounced that he was going to do that. Once Yahuwah pronounces judgment on a man's head, you're done. That's a wrap. That's it. Ain't nothing can be done in heaven and earth to change it. You know what I'm talking about? You're finished. You're through. You know what I'm saying? That is correct. He is not a man that he should repent. God, Elohim, is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of Adam that he should repent. Have he said, shall he not do it? Have he spoken, shall he not make it good? Once it come out of his mouth, it's over. You know what I'm talking about? See, what the brother mentioned, like what we talking about with David. Who pronounced the judgment on David's head? It wasn't Yahuwah, it was David. He said that man should die. Nathan said that man is you. You know what I'm talking about? And then he said, but don't worry, Yahuwah done put your sin away. See, that wasn't the law. Why? What did David do? David committed murder. The law say David should die. And David pronounced judgment on his own head that he should die. David committed adultery. The law said that he should die. David pronounced judgment on his own head that he should die. The only person who could reverse that was Yahuwah. Now, we didn't talk about this before. You know why David really got mercy? Because what does it say in James? Mercy rejoice against judgment. If you show yourself merciful, then Yahuwah will show himself merciful to you, because he was merciful to Saul on several occasions. That's what saved his life. You know what I'm talking about? You know why? Because according to the law, David could have been justified in slaying Saul, and he didn't. You know what I'm talking about? This is an example of something we discussed about 3-4 tabernacles back, how David was a man after Elohim's own heart, because the average man would have not extended mercy in a place where he did not have to extend it. You know what I'm talking about? And that was not in the law. David's supposed to die. It was Yahuwah's prerogative. Remember, I mentioned to y'all that Wednesday. It's in Exodus 34. He said he be merciful to who he want to be merciful to. Remember the promise that he made to David as it pertains to Solomon? He said, my mercy will not depart from him like I took it from Saul. He didn't even extend Saul no mercy. You know, that's what people don't understand. He don't owe you that. I've been telling y'all that for years. He don't owe you that. He don't owe you mercy. You can repent all you want. Repentance does not get forgiveness and mercy. That's up to him. That's where the grace come in at. You understand? The law does not provide for that. That's what brothers miss. That's what they miss about Paul's letters when he talking about that, because these niggas stupid. And you know why they stupid? Because they ain't got no mercy in their heart, and they ain't got no love in their heart, and they ain't got no compassion in their heart. They even understand the fact that you have a set of instructions that condemn you when you break them. You must die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We had this conversation with that brother. You know there's a sacrifice in there if you break the law, but it's if you're ignorant. That's Leviticus chapter 4. That's if you don't know. That's why the writer of the Epistle of Hebrews wrote about if you willfully sin, ain't no more sacrifice for sins, because ain't no sacrifice for willful sin in the law. And these dudes preach the word and don't know this. Brother got on the comment, he disagreed with our stance talking about IUIC lining up in front of that church. That's his business. You know what I'm talking about? He can see it how he want to see it. I ain't got no problem with that. But what I did just tell him was this. Why you niggas got all this smoke for these Christian pastors and you ain't got none for these Hebrew niggas, and you know these niggas doing wicked. And you know they doing wicked. You ain't got no smoke for them. I don't see them posting up in front of no brews talking about pastor, priest, chief high priest, why you having sex with all these women? Why you taking these people money? You know, Tazadaki, the dude who died, who called himself the comforter, they wasn't running up there posted in front of his church talking about why you taking these people money. You know what I'm talking about? Why you having sex with these people? They ain't do none of that. They think going up in these churches, they doing what the apostles did. The apostles was going in them synagogues with Jews who claim to serve Yahuwah and teach the word of Yahuwah. That's who they were straightening. I ain't worried about no Christian pastor. What I care about him for? What I care about a nigga, we got to save our people out of church. You ain't trying to save them people. You trying to put on a show. You know what I'm talking about? That's what that cornball nigga was trying to do this morning. You know, this nigga kept asking me to debate. Can you believe that? You believe that? What you think I told him? What you think I told him, Lee? Because you the only person here side of my mama known me long. The dude asked me to debate. What you think I told him? I did. Why you think I told him no? Why you believe I don't like to do that? That's okay. It's okay. I don't debate dudes because it's not a debate. You know why it's not a debate? Because somebody's life is on the line. Somebody's life on the line. See, a debate is about who has the most persuasive argument. You know what I'm talking about? That's what a debate is about. You know what I'm saying? It is to a certain extent. It's about who can be right and who can be wrong, or really who has the most persuasive argument to persuade the crowd. This is not made for that. Because somebody's soul on the line. So if one of us is wrong, somebody going to hell based off what we're saying. That's why I don't debate. It's irrelevant. Now, we can defend what we believe, but I'm not finna debate you about it.
I had the same opportunity to do a rap battle against a Christian battle. I just declined it for that same reason. So what's the point? We're all going over the same book, but one person going to be right in the outcome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a dangerous thing to do. Reason being, when the word come out, you want to make sure people are edified. That's what you want to make sure that you're doing. And a lot of times with debates, ain't nobody going to get edified because people are worried about being right. See, it's not about me being right. It's not about the other person being right. It's the word that is coming forth out of those men's mouth. Is it right? Because you know what? If you take that wrong bit of information and you live by it, let me put you out the way. If he take that wrong piece of information and he live by it, and then he take it back to you, and that mean he take it back to your sons, that mean I got to answer for his soul, your soul, and their souls. I got to answer for all that. Because the information I gave, damn 4 people's souls, and that man gonna have me answer for their blood. That's what dudes don't understand. You get that wrong information, you're gonna have to give account to every individual who took that information from your mouth, and you're gonna have to answer for that. That's why I tell brothers be jumping out here say, oh, they want to teach. Just know you're gonna answer for every individual who you put word in their ear. You're gonna answer for their soul. If you gave them wrong information and they live their life by that information you gave them, you're gonna answer for that. You know what I'm talking about? That ain't no light matter. Now you see why some brothers be like, I'd rather just hear the word and just live my life. You know what I'm talking about? Because you're going to be responsible. And a lot of brothers don't tell brothers that. You're going to be responsible. You put bad dope out here on the street, you're responsible for it. Yes, ma'am. You're going to have to give account. I'll read the verse to you. Let me finish. Matter of fact, Paul, come over here to Hebrews 13. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, man who teach the word, he got to give account for what he teach. Right here in 13 and 15. Because remember what the Lord told you in Matthew 12, what he told you. By every idle word that come out your mouth, you're going to be judged by it, right? You don't think a teacher going to be judged more? He said, who more is given, what? More is required. Yeah, you would be making the Kodesh and making it profane. You would be taking the word and making it common because you would be using that for the purposes of entertainment. Absolutely. Somebody who know the word would not do that. It's different if we just battle rapping, but if you want me to battle rap the word, that's disrespectful to Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of brothers who in these spaces, they don't look at it that way because they don't have the reverence and respect for Yahuwah. So they thinking it's a way for me to get the gospel out. No, that's a way for you to bring attention to yourself and you making yourself feel better by saying you esteeming Yahuwah in the process. That's what you're doing. You know what I'm talking about? That's what and most of them, they know that's what they doing. But it's no different when I told y'all when we were selling dope, we came up with all types of rhymes and reasons to justify what we were doing in our brain. We already know we wrong. 99.9% of people, when they do stuff, they already know they wrong. You know what I'm talking about? You just come up with a way to make yourself feel better about your wrong. You know what I'm talking about? That ain't no way to live. Not if you're going to serve you. Let's get this Hebrew 13, man. I pick it up at verse 15, if you would. Shoot, man. I'll make it 8 on general principle. It's going to tie into what we're dealing with tonight. Hebrew 13 and 8. We still holding in 1 Kings chapter 21, Leviticus chapter 26. And then Yahuwah willing, we'll go from there because I got a few things. Because I'm going to have to establish how the law moved in since we were talking about the fruits of the spirit. Look, remember how we looked at last night Wednesday night, that Joseph knew not to commit adultery? How would he have the self-control to resist that? Because he literally said, and then I'll sin before God. Well, we know what is sin. Sin is transgression of the law. So how would he know what sin was unless he was instructed of it? And of course, we'll read, the verse y'all know, that he was instructed by Abraham, his father. And Abraham got the word from Melchizedek. Do y'all know why Abraham had to get the word from Melchizedek?
We went over this.
No, not because he's a priest. Boo, you know why he had to get the word from Melchizedek?
He said somebody said because he was a priest. That's what I said.
Yeah, but that's not why he had. Of course, Melchizedek teach the word, but that's not why Abraham specifically had to be taught by Melchizedek. Because Abraham was not an apostle. Yahuwah did not teach Abraham directly. Abraham was a prophet. He was not an apostle. He was taught by a man. He was taught by Melchizedek. That's what a lot of brothers don't realize. They think Yahuwah was out here. Out of all the people in Genesis, before you get to conclusion of Genesis, it's only one person in there who was taught by Yahuwah directly. And who was that? That's it. Adam is the only man in Genesis that would be considered to be an apostle. Everyone else was taught by their father, except for Abraham. And you know why Abraham wasn't taught by his father? Do you remember his name? His father's name? Terah. And you know what he was? He was an idolater. So how could his father teach him of the way of Yahuwah? Abraham did not grow up knowing the way of Yahuwah. That's why he's an example of those Gentiles who grew up worshiping idols, who were called in faith in the uncircumcision, able to be saved. Do you see the beauty of the law? But them boys don't see that and pay attention to that because they don't know that. And I'll show it to you in a minute. Go ahead. No, it's not much about Melchizedek written in Genesis 14. He doesn't have that in depth of a story. Hebrews 13 and 8, though. Shoot, make it 7. Remember them which have the rule over you, which have spoken unto you the word of Elohim, whose faith follow, considering the end of their conduct. So he's telling you that you need to remember those who have rule over you and follow their faith. We didn't talk about this before. I just heard dudes arguing about this here. When you're dealing with the word, a man who teaches the word has authority over the congregation as it pertains to affairs of the congregation. He doesn't have authority over a man in his own house. This is supposed to be in the place. I mean, it's not that he taken Melchizedek was taking his father's place, but though Abraham was of the line of Shem, his father was an idolater, so he did not grow up in the way of Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? Just like Moses didn't grow up in the way of Yahuwah. Moses grew up as an Egyptian. You know what I'm talking about? Nevertheless,
So what's the answer? Why did he-
because Terah, his father, was an idolater. He was from Ur of Chaldees in Mesopotamia. His father was not a servant of Yahuwah. Yahuwah called him out from his family to come follow him. And then he taught. Then he had his priests teach him. See, Adam taught his son, and his son taught his son, so on and so forth. You know what I'm talking about? But that wasn't the case for Abraham in his upbringing because his father was an idolater. But we're going to read all of that. You can see, and you'll see it for yourself. Verse 8 of Hebrews 13, Yahushua HaMashiach, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines, for it is good thing that the heart be established with mercy and not with meats, which have not profited them that have been occupied therein. We have an altar whereof they have no right to eat, which serve the tabernacle. For the bodies of those beasts whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned without the camp. Wherefore Yahushua also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered without the gate. Let us go forth, therefore, unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. By him, therefore, let us offer the sacrifice of praise to Elohim continually. That is the fruit of lips, giving thanks to his name. But to do good and to communicate, forget not, for which such sacrifices Elohim is well pleased. Obey them that have rule over you and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls as they must give account, that they may do it with joy, not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you. Now, we talked about that verse before, because they grieved Moses, and that led him to strike the rock versus speak to the rock, and that's what kept him out of the land. You know what I'm talking about? Because that man has to give account. Anybody who teach the word is going to have to give account. You watching over people's souls, it just speaks to what's in Ezekiel 33. See, most brews love to scream, I'm a watchman. You ain't no watchman. That man ain't hire you. That man ain't hire you. Contrary to popular belief, Yahuwah ain't hiring all these people. If this man say the harvest is plentiful and the laborers are few, that means it's a whole bunch of people out here working who he ain't hired. Because if not, Yahuwah would be a liar. Do you not know that it's actually the actual verse that is fulfilled when Hamashiach looked at the people and he said they were people as sheep who had no shepherd? You know what I'm talking about? And that comes from out the prophets, that these are people who sheep who have no shepherd. That's what Moses prayed for when he anointed Yahushua son of Nun, that it could be somebody to lead these people in and lead them out, that they wouldn't be sheep without a shepherd. Man, Yahuwah ain't never had no cavalcade, no smorgasbord of a bunch of different dudes teaching his word. A lot of people ain't faithful enough. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people ain't faithful enough. We literally talked to a man today, and he literally contradicted himself, and he think he teach the word. You know how sad that is? It's not about him. You know, this man said the king of Babylon is in Isaiah 14:4, and then turn around and say, well, that's not the king of Babylon talking about Lucifer, but you say the whole chapter about the king of Babylon, but when you get to the part where it say this man got to go to heaven, and before he go to heaven, he got to die and go in the grave, now it's metaphorical. Do you understand when you sit down and teach somebody something like that, you're going to damn their soul, you're going to have to answer for that. When that man popped them books open, he going to have to answer for that. Because you done told a lie in my name. You done caused my people to trust in a lie. That man gonna make you answer for that. You don't remember that with the dude, what his name is, who told that false prophecy with Jeremiah? Start with an N, it's escaping me. Oh, it's not an N, it's Hananiah. Remember he said that? He said, you done caused these people to trust in a lie. You gonna die. You know what I'm talking about? You know why he died? Because he committed a work of the flesh, which is a heresy. Therefore, that's against the law. He had to perish. Is that not what Galatians 5 say? That the works of the flesh are manifest of these, and anybody who do those cannot enter into the Malkuth for Elohim. When you work the work of the flesh, you're going to be contrary to the law, and that means if you're contrary to the law, Yahuwah got to be contrary to you, therefore you have to die. But if you walk according to the Spirit, which against such there is no law, then there's no way for Yahuwah to kill you, therefore you cannot be condemned, therefore you have access to eternal life. Very simple concept. Not difficult at all. It only seems difficult because we don't have these conversations sufficient enough. Oh man, my man pinged me, man, but I can't even slide in there right now. Let's come back to 1 King, man. They dealing with are you a moron? No, this my homeboy, man. Zadok, man, that's a good dude, man. That's my people. So I know he's gonna be cracking somebody's head. It probably ain't even about that. There's probably got an underlying meaning that the title will throw you off. But he ain't even talking about that. What you think he might be talking about? We were at 21 and 21. 1 King 21 and 21. Behold, I will bring evil upon you. I will take away your posterity. I will cut off from Ahab him that pents against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Yashar. I heard that, man. He said, I will make your house like the house of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, like the house of Baasha, the son of Ahiah, for the provocation wherewith you have provoked to anger and made Yasharal to sin. And of Jezebel also spake Yahuwah, saying, the dog shall eat Jezebel by the wall of Jezreel. Him that die of Ahab in the city, the dog shall eat. Him that die in the field shall the fowls of the air eat. And there was none like unto Ahab, which did sell himself to work wickedness in the sight of Yahuwah, whom Jezebel his wife stirred up. He did very abominably in following idols, according to all, as did the Amorites, whom Yahuwah cast out before the sons of Yasharal. It came to pass when Ahab heard these words that he rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his flesh and fasted and lay in sackcloth and went softly. And the word of Yahuwah came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, see you how Ahab humbled himself before me? Because he humbled himself before me, I will not bring the evil in his days. In his son's days will I bring the evil upon his house. That man did not forgive him. But he humbled himself. So guess what he did? You see, now in the instance, right? I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. Because Ahab showed humility or meekness, there's no law against us. So guess what Yahuwah didn't do? He ain't kill him. He killed him later, though. Because you know what happened in the next chapter? Is there any other prophet here besides these? You remember that? And he put the line, because this man was because Yahuwah was still gonna kill him. Oh no, that's Solomon. Oh no, he told the punishment for Solomon was, I'm taking the kingdom from you. And you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna leave a spot here for David because of David. See, Solomon, remember what he promised David. Shalom, bro. He said, I'm not going to take my mercy away from you like I took it from Saul. He had already swore David that. So even though Solomon was out of pocket, he had already swore that I won't remove mercy from him. And it's not because of Solomon, it's because of David. See, that's what we're about to read in Leviticus 26 and 40 right now, because that's what the brother couldn't understand this morning. He couldn't understand the difference of Yahuwah is the mercy giver. The law is not the mercy giver. The law, and the reason why I'm trying to really hammer that point home, for you to have reverence and respect for Yahuwah, because he the one who mercy come from. The law don't give you no mercy. That's why I told y'all. That's why the scribes were so ready to go get that woman and run her up there to get stoned. And they was expecting Yahusha to do what? Yeah, the law says stone her, so she got to die. And guess what he did? He showed mercy. That's why I say the law came by Moses, grace and truth by Yahusha HaMashiach. We know grace translates to mercy. The law don't give mercy. And those men didn't have any mercy. See, what a lot of brews feel like is when you check them, that's not being merciful. Oh, you condemning me. No, you condemned yourself. You know what I'm talking about? But like I said, man, most people are not accustomed to being told about themselves or being told that their behavior is unbecoming or insufficient. You know what I'm talking about? I don't mind. You know what I'm talking about? It ain't gonna hurt nobody. It's gonna hurt somebody. You don't know that song. How you from New York? You don't know that song? Your people ain't play that in the house? Ain't gonna hurt nobody. Get on down. You don't know about it? So you mean to tell me your people ain't play kid and play in the house and y'all wasn't in there tapping each other's feet? You ain't no real New York. So you ain't did no kid and play. So you don't know those songs? Yeah. Definitely was a house party. They definitely, when they were doing the scene, kicking each other's feet, that's what we're playing. You ain't never seen a house party? That's unfortunate. You want to see the one with Bernie Mac. Because used to call her jawbone. I remember her from high school. You don't never want nobody to say that about you. You be sitting around somewhere, somebody talking about, I remember you from high school. Shoot, it was. He looked up and realized his mama was a whore. I just seen that clip with your mans. I was disturbed. I think Kevin Gates might be a homosexual. I don't know. I don't listen to that dude. Shalom, Rohan. I don't listen to that dude music or follow what he do. And it ain't because I mean, shoot, I don't really know these new rappers like that, so I don't know the music. I see. All I know is he said he wanted to see double penetration in a woman at the same time with another dude. This dude literally said he wants to eat a woman's vagina while his homeboy is eating her butt.
He said he enjoyed seeing another man's slab go inside a woman's poop.
He did. And I wouldn't have believed it unless I saw it myself. I only saw a clip. I seen people talking about it, but it's not like I'm going to go search it out. But I seen a clip and I say, well then. That's definitely disgusting. That's definitely not right before the Lord. You know, the Lord tell you not to even have sex, two men to have sex with a sister. He definitely went off on him and Amos about, it was about two men going in the same maid. That's an abomination before God. Dudes think that's some fly stuff. You know how gay you got to be in a room with another man with his wee-wee out? And you ain't in prison? Because they do that to you in prison. They line you up butt naked. So you voluntarily went in a room with another naked man. There's something wrong with you. That ain't right before God. I'll tell you that. Leviticus 26:40. If they shall confess their iniquities and the iniquities of their fathers with their trespasses, which they have trespassed against me, and that also that they have walked contrary unto me, and I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my what? My covenant with Jacob. Let me ask y'all a question. The covenant with Jacob. Did he give Jacob a law or did he give him a promise? My covenant with Isaac. Did he give Isaac a law or did he give Isaac a promise? And also my covenant with Abraham. Did he give Abraham a law or did he give him a promise? So that means that the mercy that would be shown for the people confessing their iniquities come from Yahuwah and not from the law. Because of why? Because he swore in an oath to Abraham. See, pause. Hebrews chapter 6. Even though you don't realize it, we are talking about the contrast between the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. Because the tree of life is of promise. Therefore, that's why it's life. The tree of knowledge and good and evil is by commandment. Therefore, that is death. Because when you break the commandment, you die. You know what I'm saying? Not that, remember what Paul say? That which is ordained unto life, as it become death unto me, Elohim forbid. We're not saying that the law is death, but when you break it, guess what happens? You got to die. Let me reference that Romans 7 that I just told y'all, right? That was Romans 7 and 8 that I'm referring to. But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of conspicuance. For without the law, sin dead. You understand that? That goes back to what, again, the garden. Well, there was no law. Was sin alive or was it dead? It was dead. He said, for I was alive without the law once. You remember what happened to him in the garden? Were they alive without the law? And guess what's going to happen in the kingdom of God? Are you going to be alive without the law? But does that mean that you won't have the law? You have the law where? In your inward parts. I was alive without the law once, but when the commandment came, sin revived and I died. So when the commandment came, this is how you know when the commandment came in the garden, because he told her, hey, you can eat from this tree. And what did she say? He said, we should not eat from this tree. So she gave, the commandment came, and then she died. Why? Because she went against it. You know what I'm talking about? Because she was alive without the law. But when the instruction came, she died. Always remember, she ran that instruction back to this man word for word. Eve did. She said it back to him verbatim, did she not? So the commandment came, and guess what happened? She died. To Satan. Oh, you seem to be confused. That means you ain't been paying attention. You fired. You got to go. For Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. The woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. She ran the instruction right back to him. So when the commandment came, they died. He said, and the commandment which to life I found unto death. For sin taken occasion by the commandment deceived me, and by it slew me. Was she not deceived by the very instruction she was given? And it slew her. Wherefore the law is Kadash and the commandment Kadash, just and good. And we already know that. We read that in Genesis. He said that tree was good, was it not? So we know the law good. Book tell us that. Was it then which is good made death unto me? Elohim forbid. But sin that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good. The sin by the commandment might be exceeding sinful. You see what he said? That which is good made death unto me? No. But now sin is shown that it's sin by working death in you by that which is good, because the law is good. But when you break it, it worked death in you. But that don't make the law wrong. That make you wrong. But it also shows you that the law cannot give you life. It was never intended to. The only way law could give you life is if you never broke it. And guess what everybody before Yahushua had always done? Broke it. So therefore you needed life from that. See, a lot of brood get caught up on the curse of the law being the curses in Deuteronomy 28. We ain't worried about that curse. You need to be worried about the curse of the law that came down in Genesis chapter 3. Y'all know what that curse of the law in Genesis chapter 3 is? Somebody put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand and answer. That's what he did. He did curse the ground, did he not? See, that take us to a whole nother conversation. Don't Genesis 3 say he gonna curse the ground? And who did he tell you would be a comforter for the ground that he cursed? You don't know. Now we got to call your whole name. I don't know your middle name. What is it? Gloria. Glory.
Stop saying it.
Oh, that was really your. I just thought you just put that on there. That's really your.
It's Glory.
That's what I call Jacob.
After man William.
That's what nickname Jacob.
With the eye no.
Whole time I thought you made that up.
He's so rude.
How am I rude? I ain't know that's your middle name.
That is your boy with the eye.
With the eye. That nigga stressing that eye.
Yeah, not the eye.
Don't put no Y on that nigga. I ain't never met nobody named Glory.
She used to go by Janisha. Nisha Nicole.
Yeah.
You ashamed of your name? Why all y'all niggas be wanting to make Nicole your name?
It's cute.
Y'all niggas gay. That ain't even y'all name.
They put it in the cold. Okay, it's cute.
On MySpace.
Yes.
Everybody top 8.
Yeah, that at least Muffin, that's her name. Nicole is her middle name.
Don't stop. Glory.
Shoot, it's too late now. We're like, Glory! That's what they used to do in the neighborhood. Look at Michael like, yeah, do it.
Because she want the pressure on her middle name.
I done forgot your middle name, Doris.
Doris.
That's what it was. What's up, Doris?
Doris.
You brought it on yourself. You should have just stayed off in the cut, Doris. Well, y'all both, I know y'all friends. Y'all both got old lady names. Glory and Doris.
Mikey D.
Hey, that means y'all niggas gonna be old knitting socks and whatnot. Woo! Say her middle name is Esteem. Look at you raising her hand. No, it ain't. Her middle name is Grandma. That's what it is. That's Grandma. That nigga talking about raise the roof. What this is? What you back on the Arsenio Hall show? What y'all got going on, man? Hebrew chapter 6, man. I ain't messing with y'all no more. I forgot about old Doris back. 6 and 13. Hebrews 6 and 13. Yes, sir, that is Noah. Noah name means that I will comfort the ground that I have cursed. For when Elohim made promise to Abraham, because he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself, saying, surely blessing I will bless you, and multiplying I will multiply you. And so after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. For men truly swear by the greater, and an oath for confirmation is to them the end of all strife, where Elohim more willingly, more abundantly to show unto the heirs of promise the immutability of his counsel, confirmed it by an oath, that by two immutable things in which impossible for Elohim to lie, we might have a strong consolation who fled for refuge to lay hold upon the hope set before us, which we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, which enter into that within the veil. Whether the forerunner is for us, entered Yahusha, made a high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So, of course, Melchizedek is what we're going to talk about this evening eventually. You know what I'm talking about? Yahuwah willing. But do you see that? Notice that he swore in an oath. That's why he said he'll have mercy on you. If he don't have mercy on us, then he broke his covenant to Abraham, which he swore in an oath, and he swore by his name. And it's a lot of things Yahuwah is, and one of them is he ain't no lie. We say if the ground is cursed, would that be related to not being able to be quickened? Yes, that is. You cannot be quickened in his likeness without the Ruach, because the ground is cursed. And you came from the dust of the ground, and everybody in here knows when you die, you go back to what? Dust. You know what I'm talking about? That ground is cursed, and a lot of brews don't like to have that conversation because all they worrying about is the curse that's in the law of Moses. That's a light thing for him to reverse your exile. But to reverse death, that's the bigger problem. That's right. He put it in there. Come on, let's go ahead and look at it. Rohan put it in the chat on YouTube. Let's go on and get Genesis 3 and 19, and we appreciate that. Or 3 and 17. My page is kind of tore up, so I'm going to slide over here on this app with that. Genesis 3 and 17. Under Adam, he said, because you have hearkened unto the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake, and sorrow you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field, and in the sweat of your face shall you eat bread till you return out of the ground, for out of it you was taken, but dust you, and dust you shall return. You got to die. And you notice, have y'all not noticed a lot of brews don't have a conversation about how that's going to be reversed? Something has to go down for that. And you can't repent your way out of that. You can't repent your way out of that condemnation. You know what I'm talking about? That's what he means when he say we're all carnal, sold under sin, and all have sinned and come short of the esteem of Elohim, because we all die. Yahuwah don't die. Yahuwah don't die. That doesn't happen. Unless he does what he did, and that's become a man and offer himself for our sakes. I did finish Leviticus 26. Where did I said I was going after that? Let's take a look at Genesis 6. Or is it 5? It's Genesis 5. Let's take a look at what I mentioned that with Noah. And let's get to the root of the matter. I'll lay that out here now. Genesis chapter 5, verse 28. Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son and called his name Noah, saying, this shall comfort us concerning the work and toil of our hands because of the ground which Yahuwah have cursed. You know what I'm saying? He said, this person is going to comfort us. Just keep that in mind. Now, we have to go back to the advent of what I told you about with Abraham. We've already established Adam ate from the tree. We just read it in Genesis chapter 3. Let's back it up to Genesis chapter 5. Now, let's not even take it Genesis chapter 5. Let's get straight to Genesis chapter 4. We don't want to deal with the aspect of Cain and Abel making their sacrifices. We want to get straight over here to about verse 5. We can make it 3. Genesis 4 and 3. In the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground, an offering unto Yahuwah. Abel, he also brought the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And Yahuwah had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But Cain and to his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. Yahuwah said unto Cain, why are you wroth, and why is your countenance fallen? Let's take a look at the word respect. Let's see what it means. It said Yahuwah did not have respect to this offering. The word here is sha'ah, and it is he did not look at, regard, or gaze. That means he did or to turn away. He did not acknowledge it. He did not respect it. He did not accept it. Now, this is what we have to understand when it comes to sacrifices. What does the law say about sacrifices? When you're doing particular sacrifices, you have to present them in a particular way. See, this was a conversation a brother I know was having on Clubhouse with a brother. You know what I'm talking about? And he was saying that the clean animals to eat, basically that if an animal was clean, Noah could offer it on the altar to sacrifice, even though it said that what did it say? That he offered a sacrifice and it was a sweet smelling savor. You know what I'm talking about? He was like, man, you can't offer no deer on no altar of Yahuwah. And he was like, oh, you can't say that. But every sacrifice is an image of Mashiach. And you were not going in that temple sacrificing no deer or no robot on this man's altar. See, what a lot of brothers don't realize is they think it wasn't no order and these people were living any kind of way. I done hit it for you to, I done sent you an invite to speak. I don't know why they ain't letting you. Nevertheless, let's continue. We're in verse 6 of Genesis chapter 4, because I seen your hand raised. I don't know what to do after that. And Yahuwah said unto Cain, why are you wroth, and why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, shall you not be accepted? And if you do not well, sin lie at the door, and unto you his desire. But you shall rule over him. So let's look at what that means. Let's look at accepted. What is accepted? It is sayah. And what does that mean? That means elevation, exaltation. So when he say be accepted, that means that he's talking about that you will be lifted up. Now let's look at sin lie at the door. Well, what is sin? It is kata, and that is guilt of sin, punishment for sin, sin. So then we have to ask ourselves, how did Abel and Cain know what sin was? Because Yahuwah is telling them directly, if you do not, sin gonna lie at the door. So how would he know? If Yahuwah is telling him this, can we be able to ascertain that Cain and Abel knew what sin was? What you say, Lee? Huh? If he's sitting here telling me that if he does not do well, sin lie at the door, would we be able to ascertain that Cain and Abel knew exactly what sin was? Why would you say yes, Lee? Lee's like, I'm tired of this nigga asking me questions. Monte, why would we be able to ascertain that? How would they know what sin was?
I think they'll just know from because of what Eve did, even though they wasn't alive, but being passed down.
Remember, right? Let me show y'all something. I think of Deuteronomy 13. Come over here to Deuteronomy 13. That is also correct. That's just common sense. There's no way, that's Deuteronomy 11. There's no way that this man could hold you accountable for something that you did not know. That would make him it would make him unjust. Deuteronomy 11 and 18. If this man, he can't condemn you for that which you don't have. Remember what he said, right? Where there is no sin, there is no what? Law. So that means, guess what? Adam sinned, right? So guess what that means there is? Law. This is simple. Where did they get the law from? Tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's where they learned it from. We'll read that verse in a minute, because remember he said the law was added because of what? Because of transgression. You know what I'm talking about? So that means if Adam and Eve have sinned, if they have transgressed, now law is added. So Adam had the law and he taught it to Seth. We taught it to Cain and Abel, and then Cain dies. Abel dies. Cain gets son away. He teaches it to Seth, because with Seth, what did men begin to do? Oh, y'all slacking on your back. With Seth, what did men begin to do? Somebody can answer it for me on one of these platforms. With Seth, what did men begin to do? They began to call upon the name of Yahuwah. They weren't calling upon the name of Yahuwah with Cain and Abel. Remember, Seth's name means what? Compensation. Elohim has given me another seed. Uh-oh. You know why he had to give you another seed? Because the first seed died. And why did the first seed die? Because his works were righteous and his brothers were evil. You know what I'm talking about? See, that's another conversation in itself, because Cain and Abel is representative of the tree of knowledge and good and evil and the tree of life. Abel representative of the tree of life because it said his blood spoke from the ground. Ain't that what it said? That what it said in Hebrews. You knew that? You ain't know that. What you know about it?
Honestly, I didn't know that it said that in Hebrews, but it did say that in Jesus.
It did. Where it said that?
After he,
Where it said that at?
I can find it.
But you throwing your hands up. You want to fight? You frustrated? See, you know what y'all problem is? Y'all used to somebody asking you a question and y'all just throw something out there and ain't nobody making you show your work. Y'all used to act like that in math class too. Then you look at Nietzsche. That's my thing. I made him show it. How you got that answer? Don't tell me 12 divided by 4 and 3. Show me how you got it. You ain't show me you can't get them. You get an F for funky. She say you cheated. Don't you know you got to be able to show how you got there? What good is it if you can answer something but you don't know how you got there? That means you're really stupid. What I mean by really stupid, because you're pretending like you know something, but you really don't have command over the subject matter, so you really don't know. But you don't want nobody to know that you don't know. You just want to be able just to say enough to appear that you actually know what you're talking about. But when you're pressed, you get exposed, and you never want to get exposed. That's what happened to them niggas this morning. You know this nigga, I talked to this nigga this morning. You know how he came at us? He said, man, you sinned. I say, speak for yourself. We read in 1 John 3 and 9, right? You know what it say, right? He that's born of God don't do what? Sin. Because he's born of God, his seed remain in him. He came back and said this. He said, there's not one that's righteous upon the earth that sin not. You know how I got him later? I say, brother, you keep the law, right? Yeah. So do you sin? No. But I thought you said can't nobody stop sinning. So I say, if you don't sin, would that make you righteous? Yeah. But you said that ain't nobody righteous, no, not one. Which one is it, brother? He know what to do with that. But he had just ridiculed us maybe 20 minutes later for saying the same thing. You see how stupid people live? That's why I tell y'all, pay attention, press, ask questions. When you ask questions, you'll get people to reveal what's in their brain. You ain't gonna never know what's in their brain if you don't ask. If you just sit there and be like, that's enough. Oh no, but of course that's a teacher word. It's when you teach the word type of thing. You got to press, you got to prod, you got to push. How I know you can actually understand the subject matter? Just because you answered me, that's a poor teacher that'll go for that. Just because you answer my question, that don't mean you know. You know what I'm talking about? See, you know why you be used to that? Because did you go to public school? You had mediocre teachers for the most part. You know why? It wasn't because they were mediocre. They became mediocre because they got beat down by a system that doesn't actually produce excellence in learning, because it was never designed to do so. See, it's a lady in the group I'm in, you know what I'm talking about? Was talking about you don't need to go to school. You can learn everything on YouTube. But I knew why she was saying what she was saying, because you remember a couple years back, remember when we had that conversation about the white dude, I can't remember his name, that created the public school system that we have now? And he said it was an experiment and that they know that that's not the proper way to educate children. They know the construct that we got in America, sending these kids to school, is not how children learn. Do you notice that most of the world don't do that to their children? They don't send them kids off for 8 hours a day with backpacks that weigh more than them. You know what I'm talking about? All they do with them kids is put them in a room to get them prepared to take a test so the teachers appear to be competent so the schools can get money. That does not lead to a place where the teachers will excel in the ability to instruct, to make sure that these kids are actually learning something and can be productive adults that can use their brain. But see, we've been conditioned that means something. That's a big deal. And then you begin to be accustomed to that lackluster means of instruction that you received in these places of so-called learning. Because most of us, when we were in school, the teacher didn't press to make sure that you knew something. They didn't really have time. It's about 30 of y'all in here, and I only got you in here for 45 minutes. How can I really make sure you know? See, it's a couple people she know going to be able to make it. It's a couple people he know that's going to be able to make it. It's going to be 3, 4 they going to give up on because they feel like they stupid, and the rest going to fall through the cracks, and they just going to fall where they may. You know what I'm saying? Is that the teacher's fault? No, it's an impossible task for her. It's an impossible task for him. He can't win. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the reasons why I stated I wouldn't want to have a congregation that had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 800 people in it. You can't give that many people detailed instruction like that make sure they get it. It's impossible. You know what I'm saying? You can't press all them people. You walk in TD Jake's spot, he can't impress to make sure all them people get that word. You know what I'm saying? Or even much know who these people are. It's too many. That's not a knock on him. We're just using an example because there's a lot of people in here. It's not a lot of Hebrew congregations that got that many people in. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to know who 5,000 people are. You're not even going to know these people's names. So how you going to make sure they getting it? You can't. It's impossible. So guess what happened? Nigga walk up out of here and go to hell. Deuteronomy 11:18. Therefore shall you lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall teach them your children and speak of them when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way and when you lie down and when you rise up. And you shall write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. Definitely, sin is the opposition. But you see that? The law says that the father should instruct his children. So guess what Adam did? Let me read you the verses where he say sin was, that the law was added because of sin. So we can establish all of that. Romans 5:13. We'll make it swift and go to Galatians 3. That's right. It is right at the door, and it'll rule over you too. You don't ever want sin to get a hold to you, because it'll be very difficult. It'll be very difficult for you to get free of it. And if you got free from sin, don't ever let it take you back again in its clutches. You know what I'm saying? See, I ain't talking about free from the flesh, because while you breathing, you'll never be free from the flesh. What you have to do is resist the flesh. There's a difference. See, a lot of people get in the word, they think, oh, I get baptized, I hear the word, I ain't got to deal with the flesh no more. He never said that. I was telling somebody this the other day, right? I say, when you look at When you in the flesh is flawed. So they asked me a question. They say, was the Lord flawed because he was in the flesh? I said, the flesh is flawed, but he wasn't. How do we know the flesh is flawed? Because he knew he had to die. And what did he ask for? For the cup to pass. Because the flesh is flawed. But his obedience to the word, his discipline to the Ruach, his belief in the promise is what caused him to resist that. There's a lesson in that for you to understand. If God himself made himself flesh and the flesh tried to take him out and he resisted it by the word, you can do the same. But you can only do that through faith. Law can't produce that. Because what law was he going to break if he didn't get up there on that stake? Ain't no law say he had to get up on that stake. There was a promise made to him. And that promise was that he would resurrect from the dead and take back everything that he gave up in the first place. So that's a promise. So him not getting on the tree would have been a lack of belief in the promise, which is worse than breaking the law. Because anything that is not of faith is sin. You know what I'm talking about? Don't y'all realize every person in this book who didn't show faith in Yahuwah, that was sin unto them and they died? How many people you seen in this book show faith in Yahuwah and they died? Not now. Not now one. That's why you can see that faith, fruits of the spirit is faith. There's no law against faith. How Yahuwah going to condemn you for trusting in him? You know who's the evidence of faith by the fruit of the spirit with faith? Rahab. Because she believed the report she heard of Yahuwah, she accepted the spies, and because she accepted the spies, she did not die with Jericho. Did she not? Did she not live? And she lived in Yasharal to the day she died. Ain't that what the book say? See, fruit of the spirit, faith, she lived because nothing that is of the spirit will produce death. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Can't find it. See, the mercy is in the Ruach. Ain't no mercy in the law. That don't mean that the law ain't good. The law just ain't merciful. The law says what it says. You worship an idol, you die. That's what it says. And there's no room for mercy. The law say if Monte Calnisha worshiping another god, he's supposed to be the first one put a stone upside the head. And if he don't do it, he gets stoned. You know what I'm saying? That's what the law say. That don't leave no room for mercy. He said, I don't care if it's your mama, your daddy, your wife, your son, your daughter. He say, put that evil away. Where's room for mercy in that? Ain't none. And why do you think most brews are highly unmerciful? Because they live by the letter and the letter kills. The letter don't give life. You know what I'm talking about? See, what people thinking you ain't being unmerciful. Hey, man, if you out of pocket like this here, man, hey, man, you need to tighten up. We ain't got to sit back and say, look at this wicked bat. That's what people think that you going to do. Ain't nobody ever did nobody like that. Guess what? You be out of pocket. What's the book say? So depending on what you did, you might have to confess that in front of everybody so others may fear. Or we might have to tell you, you might need to stay home for a little while. Get yourself together. You know what I'm talking about? That's what it lead to. Ain't nobody picking no rock up and busting up nobody upside the head. You know what I'm talking about? For what? Because the minute you pick that rock up and bust them upside the head, somebody going to have to pick a rock up and bust you upside the head because everybody got death on them. You know what I'm talking about? That's what he meant when he said, which one of y'all without sin going to cast the first stone? Because the law say all of y'all should be dead. So how you going to come up here and say you let's stone her when all y'all ought to be dead? You know what I'm talking about? But see, nobody pay attention to that because the law does not give room for that. Only God give room for that. He the only person who could do that. That's why he tell you, be ye merciful like your Father in heaven is merciful. That's why he can give you that instruction. Because we can look at many times who men who ought to die and Yahuwah didn't kill him. Remember what he did to Manasseh? Instead of killing Manasseh, he chastised him. And guess what Manasseh did? Humbled himself. And guess what Yahuwah did? Spared him. You know what I'm talking about? There's too many examples of this here where this man did not kill people who should have died. And then you got examples of people who ain't get no mercy. That man picking up sticks on the Sabbath day died. No mercy allowed. He said, kill him. You know what I'm talking about? Don't even wait no time to kill him. Oh, y'all running your mouth about them quails? He said, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you them quails. And while you eat them, I'm going to kill you. The people who was worshiping that golden calf, did they get some mercy? No. He said he let Moses go ahead and kill him. Did they get some mercy? And number 25, when they was around there with Baal Peor, he said, "Nah, man, he sent a plague around there to kill him." It took doggone Phineas coming through with the javelin to stop that plague. Did Achan get mercy when he went? He said, "Nah, kill him." Did Korah get mercy? He said, "Nah, kill him." But guess what? Miriam did, because Miriam should have died. Instead, he just gave her leprosy. She should have died. You know what I'm saying? Because you out of pocket thinking as a woman that you could speak on the man that I have chosen. Learn your place and shut your mouth. But you see somebody, you can't do the women. You can't muzzle the women, Yahuwah. Yahuwah say, you better shut your mouth talking on this man. You don't talk on no man who I done chosen. I don't care what you out here doing or what you think you doing. You better learn some respect and shut your mouth. But guess what some of these simps out here do? And you can't shut up the women of God like that. You got to let them talk. And you're going to go to hell with them. Because Aaron got caught up with that and Aaron was terrified. Because you done got boosted up with this woman to go run in your mouth. You know what I'm talking about? This man done talked to Moses face to face, and y'all feel like because we doing something similar, we could talk against him. You were like, well, I kill both of y'all. You know what I'm talking about? And guess what he didn't do? He spared both of them, really, because both of them should have died. You know what I'm talking about? But he didn't kill him. Guess what? Aaron should have died. He made the golden calf. He should have died. Yahuwah spared him. He didn't have to spare him. He should have died. But guess what? When Aaron's sons lit that strange incense on the altar, guess what happened to them? They died. He ain't showing no mercy. You die right here. You know what I'm talking about? See, people play games, man. Man, don't play with that man like that. You know what I'm talking about? He is merciful without question. But why would you want to roll the dice to see if he is or he isn't? I'm talking about his fourth is disobedience. Because you could be in a situation with mercy, and it could be you could just be down bad and Yahuwah show mercy to you. You know what I'm talking about? That's a different type of deal. I'm talking about niggas going out their way to say, tempt Yahuwah. Let me go over here and try this sin. I ain't talking about you mess around, you get yourself in a situation, you be like, damn, I done did something I ain't supposed to do. I'm talking about niggas. You got niggas out here who be like, you know what? I'm finna go pick this tranny up. Ain't nobody gonna know. You think it ain't some rules out here messing with sissies? You know the reason why I say this, and I'm not pointing no finger at nobody, so please don't think that's what I'm doing. I'm just talking about with the text. Because guess what? It was the text talked about people committing sin with sissies, right? That means somebody had to be doing it. So if ain't nothing new under the sun, guess what's going on now? You know what I'm talking about? Ain't nothing new under the sun. And you know what we like to do? Blame the white man. It's Esau that got us out here being a homosexual. How Esau got you desiring a man? How a white man got you? How a man got that much control over you that he can make you desire a man? Oh, that's so you're right. We did read that Wednesday when dude touched the ark and he died. No mercy involved. You know why? Because the law say can't nobody outside of the house of Levi touch that ark and live. Ain't that right? Ain't that what it say? Only the Levites can bear the ark. And because the ark was moving, this brother thought he was doing the right thing by putting his hand up there to steady it, and Yahuwah killed him because you ain't had no business touching it. Because the law say you got to die. See, we don't consider that. That's why you got to consider being born after Yahushua HaMashiach manifested in the flesh, died and rose from the dead. It's a blessing from on high because you got an opportunity to get a level of grace and mercy when you walked in ignorance and sin that your soul could be spared. You know what I'm saying? Because all of us should be dead. You know what I'm talking about? Long time ago. See, but praise Yahuwah. Most of y'all ain't lived long enough to really amp up a lot of sin on your shoulders. Look at you. Not me. I make sure I got my full swept in. I got all my sins in. And then some. I got enough sins for 3 people. So what's that?
Not the buttons. Off of Shrek. Not the gun draw. That's what you sound like.
I ain't never watched Shrek.
Gigi, you sound like Gigi, bro. He need to hear Gigi.
Yeah, I ain't never watched Shrek, so. Said I ran a man. See, Nisha like to say, I ain't trying to brag or nothing, but I got me a compliment.
Not at all, no.
Michael said, I only got a few.
No.
Michael like to say, no, I got more than a few. Ooh, boy, that year back in 2019. The doggone tequila. Ooh, I want to talk about them days. Look how she looking. You was on tequila for real, wasn't you? You was on that tequila for real. Dang, what you were doing when you were drunk? You remember?
No, that's not what I was doing. I was drinking alone.
You were drinking alone.
I was not.
So I'm saying, so, and then what you were doing when you got
I
drunk?
was partying.
I bet you were partying. You know what that means when you say partying, right? No, that means using cocaine.
Y'all want to put hope on somebody. You just said I was a cocaine.
I'm not being funny.
What year was I partying in? Not in the 80s.
Niggas was I was a child.
That ain't no little girl.
That nigga said not in the. That nigga said that junk like I'm 60, not in the 80s. In the 80s, I was from 0 to 9.
You think about coke, though.
You were right there with him. You taking poppers?
I know people that were doing it, but that wasn't my thing.
What your thing was? Cocaine? Alcohol. No, that's what they used to say. You talking about you trying to party? The niggas were smoking rocks. You know what I'm talking about? But that's just drug talk. It could be any drug. It ain't necessarily. I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Depends. I mean, it's just cocaine. You want to party? You know what I'm saying? They use that term here. You know what I'm talking about? No, I want to party. They use that term everywhere. It's really definitely letting you know somebody's old. You trying to party? And that nigga probably the police. Romans 5:13. For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed where there is no law. So get what? If there wasn't a law, then there's no way that Abel and Cain could have sinned if they brought an incorrect offering. Let's look at Galatians chapter 3. 3:19. Is it 3:19? I think it's 3:19. There it is. Wherefore then the law, it was added because of transgression. To the seed should come to whom the promise was made. It was ordained by Malachim in the hand of a mediator. So the law was added because of transgression. Have we already established? That's right, Rohan. Absolutes do exist. Have we shown clearly that that Adam sinned and transgressed, so therefore there had to be a law? So if he had to have a law, let's come over here to Genesis chapter 4. Just bear with me because we have to go. See, this is also things too sometimes why we do stuff. See, you can't be skilled if you don't have your fundamentals down pat. I done told you this before. I just told somebody this earlier today. Because somebody was saying how they want to be married, but they don't want to be married and the sparks don't be there. I don't want to have boring conversations about my day and all this other type of stuff. And I say, that's a jackass. That is a woman who wants a man to be her best friend, i.e. operate with her like a woman. Because I say in reality, if you have a man, you might as well get ready for a boring and monotonous life. You know what I'm talking about? And what I mean by boring, not that you can't do things, but you got 30 and 40-year-old women wanting excitement every single solitary day. What the hell is wrong with you? You know what I'm talking about? And I use that in juxtaposition to the word. I've told you this before. Consistency. You know what consistency is, Michael? Boring. It's boring. There's no flash. There's no excitement. There's no sparks to consistency. It's doing the same thing every single solitary day in the same way at the same. But what do most women say they want? What do most women say they want? Consistency. They say they want from a man consistency. Consistency is boring, but it's effective because that's how you become a master of something. So when you look at and I use this in juxtaposition to the word, most people walk away from the word because they're always looking for a new and exciting doctrine. Because when you look at it, we're going to learn the same thing over and over and over again in a different fashion for you to become consistent. You know what I'm saying? Tim Duncan was not flashy. He was consistent. He had consistent fundamentals that he trained every day for years. Niggas can say whatever they want to say about Kobe Bryant, but if you look at his footwork, you know what I'm talking about? His footwork was impeccable. And that came from consistent training day in and day out. You know what I'm saying? Most people just like Kobe, this, that, that. Like I said, I watched him his whole career. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm old. You know what I'm talking about? That nigga, when he got drafted, I was like 15, 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? But you can see that this nigga worked if you paid attention to that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I watched him Duncan play in college and then to the pros, and you can see that there. And consistency is born. See, people like the flashy stuff. Don't you know the most flashiest players don't really have good fundamentals? They're nice to watch. They're nice to look at. But as their career goes on, it goes down.
No longevity.
You know what I'm talking about? Indeed, because without consistency, you can't last, you can't endure. See, when you get with the word, it's the same thing every day. Take up that stake and follow him and deny yourself. Same thing every day, every day, every day, every day. It get boring and people don't like boring. And I'm talking about this, talking about men, not just women, because that's how a lot of dudes approach the word. They get bored. Man, we need, the truth is deeper than that. That's right, dedicated to a routine. It's deeper than that. You got to go down the rabbit hole. And then I got to ask yourself, why you want to go down a rabbit's hole? What's wrong with you? What you trying to find in there? You know what I'm talking about? Because it's boring. And when you got a man, when you have a man and he's dedicated to something and he's working towards that, he is consistent. He's not going to give you what the woman was actually talking about was an emotional attachment. And you don't want a man to be emotionally attached to you. Because a man that's emotionally attached to you is going to do one or two things. If things go south, he gonna kill you, or he gonna kill you and kill himself. Or kill you, kill the kids, and kill himself. You know what I'm talking about? Or stalk you, or do that. You don't want no man emotionally attached to you. You know what I'm saying? That's not healthy. You know what I'm talking about? But why do you think you got so many people who are separated and don't have a companion? What does that mean? Why do you think so many people separated from Yahuwah and don't have it? Because you want to be emotionally attached to him. You don't want to be spiritually attached to him. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be dedicated to a routine. If you're going to be great, you have to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? You got to do it, and when you don't feel like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day also, because they were talking about this on the peak, where they were talking about dude said he was inspired by his wife, but I actually heard what the man said. And he was talking about a conversation that they were having. You know what I'm saying? And she said something that, hey, no matter what happened, we always gonna be straight. And he said, okay, I'll run through a brick wall for this woman. So I understood what he meant in that regard. But I also understood what the other dude meant, but he's just a douchebag. And I told you before, a man should be inspired and motivated before he get a woman. Because that's what nigga was asking me. Like, so you saying your wife shouldn't inspire you? You should have been inspired before you met her. The only way you get a pass for that is if you got married young. But if you didn't get married young and you had time to be out here and then you meet a woman and now you inspired, well, you're not operating like a man because you should have been inspired before you met her. So that means if something happened to her, your inspiration gonna be gone. Because the brother asked me, he said, you inspired by your wife? I said, no. He said, does she add to or take away from it? I said, no, she can't add to and take away from it because my inspiration was had before I even knew she existed on the earth. So it's not tied to her. You know what I'm saying? I had a desire to do certain things as a teen. That's not tied to her. I didn't live my life to say, I need to meet a woman to be inspired, to want to go after X, Y, Z. I wanted that before the bump a woman. I want that. Because if I get that, the women going to come anyway. So who cares? You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to wait to get a child and then I need to be motivated to elevate my life. Why are you waiting to have a baby to do that? I'm talking about if you have progressed in life. And now you in your 30s or something, you ain't had kids. If you young and you 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, you know what I'm talking about? And you get in that type of situation, for me personally, that's a different scenario. I could see where there could be some motivation and inspiration for a man from that. He had his first child at 20. He's still a child. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, that small one is further.
Yeah, that's fine.
Did you read it?
No, I know from being here. Y'all said this is your side.
Rohan say marriage should be a method of keeping you unblemished and joyous. And I agree, and distracted from transgressing from Yahuwah. And it's factual because he tell you to rejoice with the wife of your youth. That don't mean you get a woman like, you're not, because you should be happy with your wife. It should be a joyous thing for you to be in her presence. You know what I'm saying? If you find yourself like, dang, I hate being around this hoe. You know what I'm saying? It might be time to leave her alone. I'm just being honest with you. I ain't telling nobody to leave their wife, but that can't be no good deal. If you look at a woman, you be like, damn, I hate being around her. I mean, you got dudes who look at their wife and they be really feeling like I don't like her. I'd rather smoke crack.
It's always crack.
You know how bad it is to be on crack? Crack is bad. Whitney Houston told you. She got experience. She said it's whack. All jokes aside, though, like there ain't no way you don't want to be married to a woman that you don't want to be around. You know what I'm saying? That ain't what you want. You don't want to be around no woman you don't want to be around. That don't make sense. And that's why you don't pick a woman based on just how she looks. You know what I'm saying? Because she could look great, but you could hate being in her company. You know what I'm talking about? See, if you find yourself around a woman and the only time you desire to be in her company is when you having relations. What you say? Relations? You want to talk with an old name? I ain't gonna let it go never. G&D, Glory and Doris. Back again. Well, I'm talking about this is y'all niggas, boy, we could make a Golden Girl show out of this one here. You had Blanche, Dorothy, Sophia. I can't remember the other one's name. Rose. Glory and Doris. Now we just need niggas with two more niggas with two old names. I don't know. Lee, you ain't got no old lady name, though. Yeah, we can't use that. We can't use that. Yeah, Deidre ain't got one either. She got a nigga name. Can't use that. That ain't old lady names. What is it? Oh, that's right. It is. That's just nigga old.
Juanita?
Yeah, I forgot it is Juanita. It's nigga old.
I'm sorry.
No, that's nigga old.
Yeah.
We need old.
Oh.
Juanita sound like updo.
That nigga said updo. An updo with the robe on. With a cigarette hanging out of the mouth that's never lit.
Cheetah tiger. Backdrop.
Gloria is a Jerry curl. Yeah. Doris is a curl too. Yeah.
Doris just old.
That's a curl.
Doris. She's like, I should have never let that nigga see my life. Genesis chapter 4, verse 25. Adam knew his wife again. She bare a son and called his name Seth, for Elohim have appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him there was also born a son. He called his name Enos, and then began men to call upon the name of Yahuwah. So once he had Enos, guess what that means Seth began to do? Teach his son. Let me show you another example of that. Genesis chapter 6 and verse 1. I want y'all to pay attention to what it said right here. It says, and it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, all which they did. Do y'all know what that means when it say daughters of men? No, that means the daughters of Adam. Literally says by Adam. Now, when you got a son of God, guess what that means? What do you have here? That means you have men who were obedient to the word, marrying women who weren't. That takes you to the point of do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. For what agreement does the temple of Elohim have with idols? You know what I'm saying? That's what that's pointing you to. But now let's look at Genesis 5 and 1. I just wanted to get that in there. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man in the likeness of Elohim made he him. Male and female created he them and baruch them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. Adam lived 130 years and begat in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. And in the days of Adam, after he begotten Seth, were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. Yes, it does. It definitely does. Rohan is saying if you hate your wife, it can cause you to go astray. And it does. You got a lot of people who be like, a lot of men cheat on their wife and this, that, and the third. And a lot of men cheat on their wife for two reasons. One, because they want more than one woman and they're too cowardly just to say that because they're scared that woman's going to leave. And then the second one is that they don't like their wife, and instead of leaving, they just go have sex with a whole bunch of different women that they hope that they can get. Because contrary, I told you this before, most of these boys out here, they incels. They're involuntarily celibate. A lot of dudes watch porn and beat they meat. You think these women don't get all this money on OnlyFans because dudes getting women? Dudes paying hundreds of dollars a month to look at a woman's feet, to watch whatever type of, to me, it don't even make no sense to get on OnlyFans. Why would you do that? My level of self-respect for myself is too high to pay to look at a woman. You know what I'm saying? I definitely never in my life, I'm not buying porn. Why would I want to pay to look at another nigga have sex? That don't even make sense to me. To actually take my money that I work for and pay for that? No, y'all know what I'm finna say. I would have rather bought weed. When I was young, man, I went to Jeff's house, man, we used to go to my homeboy Jeff's house. That nigga had a little fail safe in his ceiling. I'm like, nigga, how as a teen did you get all this porn? Where did you get this from? This nigga got hundreds of tapes in the ceiling. And guess what these niggas doing? Taking the tapes home. You like, you want one? Hell no. You know what I'm talking about? Man, I remember one day, man, we was at my house, man, in Mayfield, man. This nigga Snoop come to the house, man. I gotta do the right thing at the house. Yeah, that's a long time ago. We get all around there thinking we finna watch this here. This nigga put a porno on. Man, I left. I said, bro, why you gonna put a porno on a room full of niggas? Ain't a woman inside. This is gay. I don't want to sit in here with you niggas looking at that. Know what I'm talking about? Oh, you have 5, 6 niggas in here with a Woody on. Oh, hell no. Nigga, I'm finna go. This ain't where I want to be. Man, when I was in prison, man, they used to let niggas watch movies, right? Where I was at. These niggas down found pornos on the side of the road and brought them back to the camp. You know what I'm talking about? So where they watched the movies at while in prison, it was by my bed. I'm waking up in the morning, these niggas watching flicks. I say, come on, man. I get it. But dude, it's 92 dudes in here though, bro. After you watch this movie, you're gonna be riled up. Nigga, I don't want to be around you, bro. This is not right. You know what I'm talking about? This is not right. That's the last, and they would just be sitting there with each other, sitting here watching these flicks in prison. Like, man, I'm not gonna sit on no bench with no dude watching no porno, bro. To me, that just don't seem right. Maybe the others, it wasn't no big deal. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm like, no, man. For real, I'm talking about they just sitting there like this here. You wake up 9 o'clock in the morning, a bunch of niggas sitting here watching porn. It ain't right. I don't think women do that. Y'all don't hang out with each other and watch porn, do you?
We have passion parties.
What you mean? That's what they doing? You used to do them. Nigga, what? Nigga, what? So y'all used to be in there with fake wee doing little nasty stuff like that?
It was just like a person used to sell. She's just sell items.
They had penis straws.
That's what I'm saying. That's what the stuff they do. Play game, wee games. Nasty nigga.
And be ready to come home.
Yeah, I used to come home.
Some of them wasn't going home to nobody. Some of them went home and ate coochie.
I don't know about
Come
that.
home, look what I bought.
I hope it is.
Y'all nasty. Y'all real nasty.
We say,
come on to Genesis chapter 10. Nasty. It might be 11. No, it's 12. Genesis 12. 12 and 24. This dealing with the descendants of Shem. Let's get in here with Noah so we can get in and start dealing with the differences of the priesthood. and 11. I'm sorry, 11 and 24. I'm sorry, Genesis 11 and 24. We just ain't able to run a rundown. Y'all can go back and look. But of course, with Seth, with Enos, Adam. Remember, right? We've established, right? The law was added because of sin. And what purpose served the law? Because of transgression. So that's why the law was added. So this is how we know that Adam taught the law to his offspring. I didn't read the verse, but Genesis 6 and 9 says that Noah was just and perfect. What is the Hebrew word for just, Lee? You don't remember. What is it, Michael? Don't turn your head. Mommy, where's Michael? What is it? No, don't look it up. What is it? Monte, what's the Hebrew word for just? Don't nobody know? What's the Hebrew word for just, Pooh? Everybody get out. No.
You sure?
What's the Hebrew word for just? Somebody on Clubhouse or YouTube, because I'm finna put all these niggas out mine. Boop, the first one to go. I'm banning it. Don't take it.
Sadiq.
It's Sadiq.
Sadiq. Who, Raphael?
That's what I was like. I was thinking Raphael.
Tony.
So how you got that? Did you click on that?
Huh?
Can I know how they got it work? I clicked on the BLD.
I don't know what they did.
I did it. BLD.
BLD. That's your thing. Boys to Men, huh? ABC, BBD. That's what you want? She said you play that at the house too much. So Zadok is the word. So what's the meaning of Zadok? No, that's not the meaning. That's the English word translated for Zadok. What does Zadok mean? No, it does not.
If I'm mistaken, it means lawful, don't it?
It means lawful. Right. That's what it means. So if a person is lawful, that means they would have a law that they were keeping in order to be lawful. We spent a whole bunch of time talking about Zadok. Remember the priest of Zadok? Oh, y'all done forgot. Oh, here you go. Oh, I got it now. So with that being said, Noah was a just man because he was. See, I also didn't read the other place in Genesis 6. Do you know what it said in Genesis 6 that man was doing upon the earth? What does it say that man was doing upon the earth? Huh? What'd you say? I ain't hear you. I always said it say corrupting the way of Yahuwah. What is the Hebrew word for way? No. For way. The Hebrew word for way. And the definition. I can tell you the definition. It means course of life. Moral character. But what is the word for way? We didn't talk about it before, just not in depth in a little while. Darak. Darak. That's the Hebrew word for way. So when he looked at it, they corrupted the way of Yahuwah. That means they corrupted the course of life of Yahuwah. What is the course of life? It would be his law. They took the man's law and corrupted it. Guess what they were doing during the times of the scribes and Pharisees? Guess what he wrote in Ezekiel that the priests were doing? Corrupting his way. So that means they were corrupting the word. Let's look at Genesis chapter 11, verse 24. Nahor lived 920 years and begat Terah. Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years and begat sons and daughters. Terah lived 70 years and begat Abraham, Nahor, and Haran. Now these, the generations of Terah begat Abram, Nahor, Haran, and Haran begat Lot. Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity in the Ur of Abraham and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abraham's wife, Sarah. The name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, the father of Iscah. But Sarah was barren. She had no child. Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his son's son, and Sarah his daughter-in-law. Yes, sir. His son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So understand this here, right? Abram was an idolater because he came from a place of idolatry, though he was a descendant of Shem. You understand? Abraham did not grow up in that type of environment. Y'all know where Ur of Chaldees is, right? Where's Ur of Chaldees? Michael. Where's Ur of Chaldees? No. You read that wrong. She trying to help you out. Where's the Ur of Chaldees, Monte? Lee, where's the Ur of Chaldees?
Iraq.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Canaan was wrong, wasn't it?
Yes, Canaan is a whole entirely different country. Ur of Chaldees is in Iraq, aka, as Will has put on here, Babylon. That's Babylon. That's where he came from. So let me show you something else in Isaiah 51. So you could, no, it's not Isaiah 51. Excuse me. Ezekiel 16. I just want you to hear what he said his nationality is. 16:1. And the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, your birth and nativity is in the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother a Hittite. Who is he talking about? Michael. Whose father is a? They says your father is an Amorite, and your mother is a Hittite. Who is he talking about? That nigga look like, nigga, what? Say your father is an Amorite and your mother is a Hittite. That is Abraham. Which one is it though? It said your father is an Amorite and your mother is a Hittite. So which one is Abraham?
His father.
So what is he?
Amorite.
So who's the Hittite?
Sarah.
How you don't know? Who was he? Ain't had but one wife. Yeah. I'm just letting you know what they are. It says that Abraham was an Amorite. You know what I'm talking about? That's what the book saying. That's what it say. Come on back over here now. Let's come to Genesis chapter 14. I got to get something with the generations in heaven, but if y'all willing, if we don't do it tonight, we'll do it on tomorrow. That came to my mind last night. You know, we don't want to jam too much because we ain't even talk about no fruits of no spirit yet, like we did the other night. Genesis 14:17. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Kedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him at the valley of Shavah, which is the king's dale. Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High Elohim. And he baruched him and said, Baruch be Abram of the Most High Elohim, possessor of Shamahim and Arats. And Baruch be the Most High Elohim, which deliver your enemies into your hand. And he gave them tithes. He gave him tithes of all. Now, Melchizedek, in the chat, in Clubhouse, whether you raise your hand or in the chat, what do you know about the priesthood of Melchizedek? What do you know about it?
Will he be from the tribe of Levi?
Would he be from the tribe of Levi? No, the tribe of Levi didn't even exist.
Oh, okay.
After the faith? What faith are you talking about? I'm talking about the priesthood of Melchizedek.
Well, Melchizedek taught Abraham.
Yeah, because he's a priest of the Melchizedek. Abraham literally just tithed to the man. Now you got to ask yourself this question: how would Abraham know how to tithe? Where would he even get that information from? So you have, yeah, that's where tithing come from. You just ain't tithing recklessly and randomly. But what do y'all know about Melchizedek? He's a priest. That's all I know. Let's look at Psalms 110. We ain't talked about the priest of the Melchizedek in a long time.
Everlasting priesthood.
It says everlasting priesthood. Psalms 110, y'all. Yeah, but that's contained in the writing of Hebrews, which I read to y'all the other night. Oh, Psalms 110. And Yahuwah said unto my Lord, sit you at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Yahuwah shall send the rod of your strength out of Zion, rule you in the midst of your enemies. Your people, willing in the day of your power and the beauties of Kadash, from the womb of the morning, you have the dew of your youth. Yahuwah have sworn and will not repent, you a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. We're going to deal with order. That is Dibrah. That literally means cause, manner, reason, suit, style, estate, order, regard. Melchizedek. Of course, it means my king is Zedek. And if it means my king is Zedek, guess what that means? Y'all know what Melchizedek is telling you? I just told you a minute ago. What I told you. Go ahead, Derek. That means my king is righteous. It literally says Zedek at the end of the name. My king is righteous. Doesn't it make so? This is a point that you should. It's not a lot that's said about Melchizedek in the text now. I just want y'all to know that. Where can you see somebody? That was Psalms 110, Rohan. Where can you see somebody who is being made a priest after the order of Melchizedek from Genesis to Malachi? You only got one place. I can tell you that now. And I told you the other day.
The Levite?
It's on.
Joseph,
No, sir. No, sir. Samuel was not a king nor a priest. Solomon was not a king nor a priest. Who else was mentioned? Joseph was not a king or a priest. David was not a king and a priest. You got to remember, what did we just read? He said he's a king. It said he was the king of Salem, right? And he was the priest of the Most High Elohim. That's what's the differing factor with the order of Melchizedek. The order of Melchizedek is a priest, king, ruler. High priest, king, ruler.
Did he get an order to Abraham if he taught him?
No, but Abraham was never king or priest. Abraham was a prophet. Who knows where is somebody who is being after the order of Melchizedek from Genesis to Malachi? No and no. Because neither one of them were high priests. Moses wasn't high priest, and neither was Adam. Y'all don't know? Brother Francis said Job. It ain't Job. Job wasn't high priest either. I just read this to y'all Wednesday too. Y'all done forgot. And I spelled it out explicitly and told you we were coming back to it.
The Mashiach?
It ain't Jeremiah.
I was about Mashiach, but you said New Testament, Old Testament.
I can't go to the new. I got time. What you say?
It was one of them Hoseas, I believe.
No, it ain't. It ain't in Hosea. Huh?
Great, it ain't David, it ain't Moses, it ain't Abraham, Joseph.
Oh, Rohan just put up there. Y'all can know the definition of Amorite. It means bitter, a rebel, and a babbler. which connects Abraham to Babel or Babylon, which is confusion. It's not. It's not any of that. I'm gonna give y'all a few more minutes. Who is the man in the text who was made a priest after the order of Melchizedek? Y'all don't know? Somebody got to know something. Boop sleeping on the back porch tonight.
Please.
I ain't got to sleep in, but I ain't sleeping on the porch.
You sleeping on the porch. Y'all better answer it. Boop, life depending on it.
Aaron.
No, Aaron wasn't king.
He just made it so. Aaron.
Aaron. It was Aaron. He said he gonna be mad once it's said. Boy, I promise I just said this on Wednesday too. I did too. And I read it. No.
Who she said?
She said, was it in Nehemiah? Nehemiah wasn't a king. He was a governor. At that time, Michael, there wasn't a king in Israel. During Nehemiah's time, we didn't have a king. Anybody? Are we approaching? We approaching. I got one more. I can give you one more minute. Mother Sharona said Abraham. It ain't Abraham. It ain't Solomon. I give y'all one more minute. Brother Reynolds said Shem. It ain't Shem. But that say Yahushua son of Nun. It ain't him either. Because Yahushua wasn't a high priest. And Shem, Zechariah is a prophet. Zechariah chapter 6 and verse 9. You looking crazy. It ain't Zechariah. No, it wasn't Saul. Let's check it right. Zechariah 6 and 9. And the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, take the captivity of Hadai, Tobiah, Jediah, which are come from Babylon, and come you the same day and go into the house of Josiah, the son of Zephaniah. Take silver and gold and make crowns and set them upon the head of Yahushua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest. And speak unto them, saying, thus speaketh Yahuwah of hosts. Behold, the man whose name is the branch, he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of Yahuwah. Even he shall build the temple of Yahuwah. He shall bear the esteem. He shall sit and rule upon his throne, and he shall be a priest upon his throne, and the counsel of Shalom shall be between them both. I literally took some time and went over that just for y'all, and y'all forgot. Because I was talking about the part where it say the counsel of peace between the both. You see that he was a high, Yahushua son of Jehozadak was the high priest. How we know this? Go back 3 chapters. Go back 3 chapters in the book of Zechariah. He was Yahushua son of Jehozadak was high priest. He was telling them, put the crown on Yahushua son of Jehozadak's head because he would be king and high priest simultaneously, showing you that Yahushua would be a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. But we have to establish, how did Yahushua son of Jehozadak get to that point? Well, let's take a look at Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1. Look at what it says. He showed me Yahushua the high priest. I'm just establishing to y'all that you can see that Yahushua son of Jehozadak was a high priest. The order of Melchizedek is a high priest and king. Not just a regular priest, a high priest. Now we're going to go back and look at the establishment of the priesthood of Aaron, because the priesthood of Melchizedek is an eternal priesthood. The priesthood of Aaron is a priesthood after carnal commandment. Remember, we discussed this before. Who was actually supposed to be operating under the priesthood of Aaron? Because who operates under the priesthood of Aaron? The Levites. But who was supposed to do it? Oh, y'all done forgot.
The high priest?
No. If the Levites are the ones who work in the service of the temple, who was initially supposed to do that work? Oh, we talked about this before. I took time about this too. Nope. Ain't no tribe. It ain't a tribe. A tribe is not the answer. The elders is not the answer. I take my time with this stuff. I'm gonna get me a belt. Or I need a paddle. Start popping niggas upside the head. I know, I need a paddle. I need a ruler. Pop you in your hand. There it is. Brother Otis just hit it. The firstborn. Have you forgotten? The firstborn of the matrix are mine, and I've taken the Levites instead of the firstborn, that they may serve. Firstborn males were supposed to do what the Levites do. You know what I'm talking about? But instead of taking the firstborn, he gave that to Levi. The Levites is a different type of priesthood than the priesthood of Aaron. Remember, priesthood of Aaron is high priesthood. That means they dealt with the things that pertain to the sacrifices of reconciliation. A Levite could not go inside the Kadash of Kadash and make an offering on atonement for the sins of the people. He couldn't do that. A Levite could never do that. Remember what I told y'all a long time ago when we read through Ezekiel 40 and 48. You see the Levites being there, but guess who you don't see there? You don't see anything mentioned about a high priesthood of Aaron. You know what I'm talking about? Who do you keep seeing the one who do the sacrifices that Aaron would do in Ezekiel 40 and 48? It said who? The prince. See, there's elements of the well, ain't no elements. It's plain if you got to understand it. The priesthood of Melchizedek is in Ezekiel chapters 40 through 48. Because Yahusha is that priest after the order of Melchizedek who can make these offerings and sacrifices. And yes, we will look at them so that you can see that and see the difference. The priesthood of Melchizedek is the tree of life, and the priesthood of Aaron is the tree of knowledge and good and evil. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's the only thing Aaron could give you was the law. That's why we read that in Galatians the other day. It said if perfection came from the Levitical priesthood, then there wouldn't be no need for another. The Levitical priesthood can't make you perfect. Why? Because every year there's a remembrance for offering of sins. Every year. We didn't talk about this before. And that Hebrews 10. Every year, somebody got to go. That's why them fringes don't mean nothing. If somebody got to walk up there every year and make a sacrifice for you. What good does that do for you? But guess what? Because Yahusha went and did it once, and that ain't never got to be done again. And guess what he can do? He can sit as a king, because we're going to read it. Because he said that he's sitting on the throne at the right hand of his father, did it not? But it also says that he's sitting in the Holy of Holies to do what? To make intercession on your behalf. Look at the Lord. Zechariah 3 and 1, though. I'm going to try to get all that in what I mentioned before we leave here. And he showed me Yahusha, the high priest, standing before the Malachim of Yahuwah, and Hashatan standing at his right hand to resist him. And Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, Yahuwah rebuke you, O Hashatan, even Yahuwah that have chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this the brand plucked out of the fire? Now Yahusha was clothed with filthy garments and stood before the Malachim. Remember, he said our righteousness is as what? Filthy rags. And I guess what he sees Yahusha standing there with on what? Filthy rag. And guess what that means? He was in the flesh and his righteousness was as filthy rags. How do we know this? He said, my father has given me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. I know his commandment is life everlasting. That's why Yahusha could get a change of garments, because of faith. Not because of law, but because of faith. That's why that Isaiah says our righteousness is as filthy garments, because you need to change your clothes. But see, we don't want to change our clothes. You know what I'm talking about? Again, as I keep mentioning, there is no mercy in the law. The mercy is with you. There's no mercy in the law. Go break the law right now. Guess what, right? You can go outside right now. This is how a lot of people get the game twisted. They'll say, well, they give black people more time for crimes than white people do. But where did they tell you that there was going to be equitable sentencing? They never told you that. Do you even know how people get sentenced? They do a pre-sentence investigation. Every criminal charge has a certain amount of points. You know what I'm talking about? They have a certain mathematical figure, and that comes up with the amount of time that the pre-sentence investigation recommends that a person should get in prison. But you know who it's ultimately up to? The judge. The judge doesn't have to go by the PSI. You know what I'm talking about? It's no case like the rapper from here caught 10 years. He thought he was going to get a couple times. He really didn't catch 10 years. He really caught 15. Because he got 10 in and 5 on paper. That means you got the whole 15. They gave you the max. You know what I'm talking about? But guess what, though? When you roll the dice and go to trial, that's what you expose yourself to. But they be like, but the white boy got 2 years probation. Well, guess what? This is a white country. Why would you think that he would get what you would get? Because guess what? If you was in your land, you think that it's going to be equitable between you and him? But with Yahuwah it is, because you both going to hell. You know what I'm talking about? See, that's why you would rather fall in the hands of Yahuwah instead of the hands of man. Because the book tell you, remember when David said that? He said, I don't know what man going to do, but I know Yahuwah is merciful. You see the difference? See, if you fall into the hands of man, you don't know what man going to do. Because when it comes to judgment, Yahuwah is an equitable distributor of judgment. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody going to get the same thing. You going to hell, you going to hell, you going to hell. You know what I'm talking about? And that's how he see that. He ain't going to be like, well, he an Israelite, so I ain't going to send him. Because then when he send this person here, then Yahuwah know he just condemned himself because that was unjust judgment. And Yahuwah ain't going to do that. Yahuwah ain't going to do that. He ain't going to do that. That's just something that he's not going to do. That's what make him just and upright. But let's look at on. Zechariah chapter 4, verse 4. He answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying, take away the filthy garments from him. And unto him he said, behold, I've caused your iniquity to pass from you, and I will clothe you with a change of raiment. And he said, let them set a fair mitre upon his head. And they set a fair mitre upon his head and clothed him with garments. And the Malachim of Yahuwah stood by. And the Malachim of Yahuwah proclaimed unto Yahushua, saying, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, if you walk in my ways, if you keep my charge, then you shall also judge my house, you shall keep my courts, and I will give you walk among these that stand by. Hear now, O Yahushua the high priest, you and your fellows that sit before you, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I will bring forth my servant the branch. For behold, the stone that I've laid before Yahushua, upon one stone, 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave the engraving thereof, saith Yahuwah of hosts, and I will remove the iniquity of the land of that land in one day. And in that day, saith Yahuwah of hosts, shall every man his neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree. Now, see, that's that when they're taking the whole. Remember when he said, I seen you under the fig tree? Remember when he said that in the thing? In John chapter 1. You don't know what I'm talking about. But that's where that comes from. But look at this here, right? Yeah, he does have to write it out for himself. Notice what he said that man would be able to do, that he would judge his house and keep his courts. He talking about his temple. Then you turn around in Zechariah chapter 6, and what do you see? Yahushua, son of Jehozadak, being made king and priest at the same time. That's after the order of Melchizedek. So he's giving you an inkling into an eternal priesthood that is to come later. Go ahead, Derek.
I can ask you that one day, that's what I'm dealing with, the 1,000-day reign.
Oh, that one there he dealing with when he say, I don't turn the page, hold on. When he said, boom, 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 he'll remove the iniquity of that land in one day. That's talking about when he come back.
Okay.
Remember, he say here, Malachim are gathered out of his kingdom all things that offend. So upon his return, all the sinners getting gathered up. Please don't be no sinner at that day, because all sinners will be rooted out of the land. That's what it say in Psalms. Let's come over here to Hebrews 7, because I ain't finished Hebrews 7 the other day. See, the epistle of Hebrews is the only epistle that speaks about Melchizedek. This is where your understanding got to come in when you see other elements in the text to understand things that pertain to Melchizedek. Because if you don't have understanding, you're not going to see it. Now, we talked about that in verse 5, how he was called a priest after the order of Melchizedek. Hold on. We didn't go to Numbers. I'm sorry. Remember, it said every high priest taken from among men is ordained of men for men and things pertaining to Elohim. And verse 4 in Hebrews 5 said, no man take this honor unto himself, but he that is called of Elohim, as Aaron was. Let's come over here to number 16 so you can see where Aaron was called to be a high priest. Because remember, if we're going to do it, you got to do it right. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. Come over here to 18. I was right in my mind the first time. Numbers 18. Listen to what it says. Yahuwah said unto Aaron, you and your sons and your father's house with you shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary. You and your sons with you shall bear the iniquity of your priesthood. And your brethren also of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, bring you with you, that they may be joined unto you and serve unto you. But you and your sons with you before the tabernacle of witness. And they shall keep the charge and keep the charge of the tabernacle, and they shall not come near the vessels of the sanctuary and the altar, that neither they nor you also die. They shall be joined unto you and keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation for all the service of the tabernacle, and a stranger shall not come near unto you. You shall keep the charge of the sanctuary, the charge of the altar, that there shall be no wrath any more upon the sons of Yasharal. So that was the high priest. What is the high priest's job is? It said he had to bear the iniquity of the house. Did you see that? Do you know what that means, to bear the iniquity of the house? Do you understand what that means, what the high priest had to do? What that's foreshadowing? Let me read y'all bear the iniquity. Everything does. Everything does. But I want you to sit back and pay attention. Let's look at bear the iniquity of the sanctuary and what that means. Of course, you know, with bear, you have nasah, which is to lift up, to carry, to take. Let's look at the next element that you need in that. He said, bear the iniquity of the sanctuary. Well, we all know what iniquity is. That is avon. And what did that mean? The perversity, the depravity, or the guilt, or the punishment of iniquity, or the consequence, or the punishment. So the high priest was meant to carry the consequence of the punishment of the sanctuary, the people. So, of course, you know, sanctuary is Mikdash. That's the temple, the sacred place. And guess who is the temple of Yahuwah? That's the people. So the high priest's job in actuality was to bear the sins of the people. But you don't never hear nobody talking about how the high priest had to bear the sins of the people, do you? Now you can see why it was important for Yahushua to be a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. We've talked about the high priest bearing the sins of iniquity of the people, just not in plain speech. Because when we mention atonement, what does the high priest have to do? He has to make sacrifices for himself and then sacrifice for the sins for the people. He has to bear the iniquity of the sins of the people. And notice what it said in verse 5, said that no wrath would come upon the house of Yasharal anymore, because he's carrying the sin. Wrath is kasef, and that's literally the wrath of God. Let's look at Leviticus 16 so you can see that. So the high priest's number one job was to bear the sin. Why? Can you see why the high priest during Yahushua's time was so wicked? Because it was their job to bear the sin, and they weren't carrying it. That's what he mean when he said they lay burdens upon men, but they won't lift them up themselves, because that's the high priest's job. He's supposed to carry the burdens of the people.
Yeah, I was gonna say that tying with that lamb slain for the foundation of the earth.
In what regard?
Or the priest pretty much him carrying that
Yeah, show you right. Let's take a look at this here, man. 16. We want to get straight to the point. (16 and 15), if you would. Leviticus. Then he shall kill the goat of the sin offering, that is for the people. Make sure I ain't skipping over that. And bring his blood within the veil, and do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat and before the mercy seat. He shall make atonement for the Kadash, because of the uncleanness of the sons of Yasharal, and because of their transgressions and all their sins. So shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation that remain among them in the midst of their uncleanliness. And there shall no man in the tabernacle of the congregation, when he go in to make atonement in the Kadash, until he come out and have made atonement for himself and for his household and for all the congregation of Yasharal. That's what the high priest's job is. And nobody else amongst Yasharal can do that. A Levite can't go do that. Only the high priest can go do this. Let's take a look in Ezekiel. Tribe of Levi, Aaron is a Levite. Yes. The Levitical priesthood was a commandment after the flesh. That's why we read Numbers 18. Yahuwah chose Aaron to be high priest because he was a man born of a woman. He couldn't be eternal because he was dust. You understand? So that's why he say the carnal commandment through the weakness and the unprofitableness thereof, because you can't get profit from a flesh and blood. And flesh and blood don't supply strength, because trust in Yahuwah is everlasting strength. You can't get that from Aaron. So let's take a look at, so let me see what I want in Ezekiel.
So was the Himelech, I think that's how I said Himelech, was he a high priest or just a...
Who, in Genesis?
Nah, in First Samuel.
Who you talking about?
David, when he got the shewbread and all that.
Yeah, he was just, he with the shewbread, he was a high priest. Only the high priest can touch that shewbread.
So, what did you look at as in he gave him the shewbread because he was trying to keep the temple? As in,
oh no, he gave him the shoe. He gave him the shewbread. I'm glad you said that. That situation again, because Yahushua mentioned that. That situation with the priest giving David the shewbread is an example of Yahuwah showing mercy, because the law says that David them couldn't eat that shewbread, and that he would be in violation for giving them that shewbread. But yet he was not condemned because these men were hungry. Because matter of fact, nigga posted that junk the other day. I've been telling y'all that for years. These brews will be out here and tell you, man, you can't buy and sell on the Sabbath. They ain't got no food on them. Let's send a nigga away and let him starve. Yahuwah not going to condemn you because you went in somewhere and bought some food and gave it to a man who was without. But one thing I can say, and I told you this for years, because a lot of brews think that this some fly stuff. It's cool if you go out there and feed and clothe the homeless, but it doesn't compare if you do it to a saint. You know what I'm saying? Because brothers was arguing about this the other day. Proverbs 17:5 says what? He that lend to the poor give to his maker. We all know the verse in Matthew 25, right? You seen me and I was hungry. And they say, Lord, when did we see you? He say, when you did this to the least of these, my brethren, you did it unto me. Doing it to a sinner is not the same as doing it to a saint. Because doing it to a sinner, you didn't do that to the Lord. You just did that to a poor sinner. And the Lord ain't going to have no problem with that because you showed mercy. He ain't going to kill you for that. But you ain't going to get in his kingdom behind it. Because if you looked the saint in the face and didn't do it, you doing that to a sinner who was homeless meant absolutely nothing, because you rejected the Lord and you love those who hate God versus loving those who don't. But see, Hebrews don't want to have that conversation because that's tight right there. It's better for you to take care of the household of God first. Because guess what Yahuwah going to do? He going to take care of his household before he take care of a sinner outside of his household. And I don't care who don't like it. Because you know, Brews think that make you righteous because you feed. But it be poor Hebrews and niggas got it. And they ain't going to do nothing for him. They ain't going to do nothing for him. They'll look him dead in the face. Know he hungry. Ain't going to feed him. Know he needs some money, give it to him, talk about it. You know what I'm talking about? Man, that broke nigga, man. I had to get that nigga $500 the other day. You going to hell, boy. Because if that young man or that young woman is in Yahusha and you did that, you said that to the Lord. That nigga sleeping up under the bridge who like to smoke doggone 305s and drink beer when you give him a couple dollars. You ain't do that to the Lord, son. You did that to a poor man. Didn't Paul write that and say it's extreme for you to do well, especially of those of the household of the faith? That's who you got to do it for. See, we thinking we doing something because you see the church do it. They be out there in community with the poor and they still going to hell. Christina here say a lot of camps teach not to give to anyone regardless if you a poor Hebrew. That nigga going to hell. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm going to tell you like this here. Give to the household of the faith first. But boy, if somebody hungry and you know they hungry and you don't feed them, you ought to go to hell. I don't care if saint or sinner. You ought to go to hell. You unmerciful bastard. Because that man say, my father pour rain on the just and the unjust. You wicked bastard Jew. You know what I'm talking about? You wicked bastard Jew. You know what I'm saying? You wicked bastard Jew. How could you look at some? But you know why some people can do that, man? We have to give me a second, man. I don't want to put that in because the tithing thing, that's a whole nother conversation. We done opened that up because we read that with Abraham, but we done dealt with it before. But truth be told, the tithing aspect went straight to Aaron them first. You know what I'm saying? That's mainly for Aaron, and then the Levites got their part. Christine said she wasn't taught that way. It's coming up. You don't look at nobody's face and know they're hungry and ignore them. I mean, you know why most people don't do that? Some people do it because they just naturally merciful people. But some of us done been hungry before. And then somebody gave you food when you was hungry. So if somebody gave you food when you was hungry and you see somebody hungry and you be like, oh, I can't buy and sell on the Sabbath, brother. But you know, Yahuwah love you, man. You got to keep that Sabbath. That man ain't going to worship your God. Because guess what? That high priest wasn't supposed to give David that bread. Ain't that what the law said? The law said they wasn't supposed to get that bread. And guess what that priest told the men? You at least ain't touched no women. He said, no, we ain't touched no women by 3 days. He said, I got you, bro. You know how many Hebrews would have been like, oh, no, brother, this is the shoe bread. I can't give you none of that. And they would let them men go away hungry. You not of God, boy. You not of God, boy. Because you know what that priest did? You notice ain't no condemnation come on that priest. Because he showed mercy, and that's a fruit of the Spirit. He showed goodness. He showed gentleness. That's a fruit of the Spirit. He can't die behind that. There's no law against that. But you know, we got to keep this law. You wicked bastards. You don't even keep it anyway. Most of these boys ain't got no word in them. They just talking. I told you earlier, some people might have heard me clown on Buddy like that, and they'd have been like, that ain't right. But he called himself a teacher of the word. You don't get my respect. I would never talk to somebody crazy who ain't no claim to be no teacher, no word, who don't know Yahuwah. You don't know him. So they don't need to be clowning you or you don't know him. But you say you a teacher. If you say you teach the words, you know what you telling people, you saying you know God. So once you say you know God, and I see you start getting disrespectful and rude, I'm going to disrespect you to the utmost because you disrespecting my father. You're not worthy of my respect. You know what I'm talking about? Because you're a false prophet, you're a false teacher, you're a blasphemer, and you disobedient to the word of Yahuwah. What makes you think you worthy of my respect? What makes you think I ought to deal with you in that particular way? The Lord didn't. The Lord clowned those men to their face. Did he not? See, we done took that time before and read how this man talked to them people. You notice he never talked to the people the way he talked to them scribes and Pharisees? Because you're supposed to know better. He ain't never talked to the people like he talked to them. Not once. Not once. Bro, them people came aside this man talking about, why you got this woman washing your feet? Don't you know she a sinner? You know what I'm talking about? Oh, what type of man you think it is? Only God can forgive sin. These people would try to get this man to talk so he could say something so they could have a means to accuse him. That's why he clowned them the way that he clowned them. Because they deserve to be clowned. Because they a clown. You know what I'm talking about? A wicked clown. Nevertheless, what I need at Ezekiel 40. We don't need chapter 40 or 41. Let's get to 42. 42 and 1 is fine. I'll move around a little bit. It's almost 11:30. I ain't going to hold you too much longer. I know it's late. I know some of you already sleep. Glory about to go to sleep over here. Doris ain't though. Lee don't never sleep. She got to stay up. You know what I'm saying? Watch them churn. What a churn at now, Lee? I just want to with their father. She'll never say with their. Sometimes with their daddy. Then sometimes with their father.
Then she said, like we supposed to know. Their father.
Their father. She'll say, all I know is they ain't with me. 42 and 1. Then he brought me forth into the utter court, the way towards the north. He brought me into the chamber that against the separate place, and which before the building towards the north. Let's look at that separate place. Let's look at that separate place. Let's see what we get. That's Daniel. We don't want Daniel. Separate place. See, you should know instinctively what it is. Separate place is gizra, separate place, polishing, separation. Also, utter court. Utter court. Utter is ketzon, and that is the outer court. Notice that it was for the north gate. What is that north gate representative of? Judah. Oh, we were talking to them boy about that today, because they started with Isaiah 14, and I say, yo, bro, where's the side north at according to the text? Dude told me that junk was in the land of Tyre and Zidon. I said, let's read Psalm 48 then. It literally told you the sides of the north was in Jerusalem, and them brothers say, see, nah, brother, that ain't talking about Jesus. I say, we didn't say it was talking about a person. We talking about where are the sides of the north. That is a place. That is the north gate of Judah. And you notice that this high priest is walking in what gate? The north gate. Well, let's look at Ezekiel 48 so you can see what tribes is on the north gate. Let's take a look at that. Ezekiel 48, verse 31. And the gates of the city after the names of the tribes of Yasharal, 3 gates, one for Reuben, one for Judah, one for Levi. But see, there's one thing when you turn around and look at Levi. Levi cannot be prince or ruler, because he told you that the prince would come out of who? Well, let's look at 1 Chronicles chapter 5 and 3. Yeah, but we got to read it out of text so that people can know what the text says, so they know we ain't making nothing up. 1 Chronicles 5 and 3. Of course, y'all remember we took time to go through all these genealogies and all this type of stuff. Ain't the Lord good? First Chronicles 5 and 1. That's fine. Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Yasharal, he was the firstborn. For as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto Joseph, the son of Yasharal, and the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. For Yehudah prevailed above his brethren, and of him the chief ruler, but the birthright was Joseph's. That's Yehudah doing what he wants, because it's really the chief ruler supposed to came out of Joseph, according to the birthright. But what he just told you can't be reckoned after the genealogy. Judah prevailed. So we can see that chief ruler, because what did we just look at? The king, he going to be a priest forever after the tribe of Melchizedek. And Yahushua, son of Jehozadak, what tribe is he from? They stunk. Also, so you know, Yahushua, son of Jehozadak is in Nehemiah and Ezra, because he was alive during that time period. No, he ain't no Benjamin. He was from the tribe of Levi. He was a son of Aaron. He was high priest. 42 and 2, Ezekiel. Before the length of 100 cubits, the north door, and the breadth 50 cubits. We don't need all of that. You know what I'm saying? Let's go down here to about verse 13. Then he said unto me, the north chambers, the south chamber, which are before the separate place, they Kadash chambers where the priests that approach unto Yahuwah shall eat the most Kadash things, and there they shall lay the most Kadash things. The meat offering, the sin offering, the trespass offering for the place is Kadash. When the priests enter in, they shall not go out of the Kadash into the utter court, but they shall lay their garments wherein they minister, for they are Kadash, and shall put on other garments, and shall approach to those things which are for the people. What does that sound? Familiar with Numbers and Leviticus? That's what the high priest had to do. Let's come over here to about verse 46, chapter 46, excuse me, not verse 46, chapter 46. And let's take a look and be more specific. 46 and 1. Because see, it's mentioned tabernacles here. See, back up to 45, right? And they go to mentioning these feast days. 45 and Ezekiel 17. Let me ask y'all a question. According to the law, who was the one who made the offerings on the feast days? The burnt offerings, the drink offerings. The high priest had to do that. Let's take a look. 45 and 17. It shall be the prince part, burnt offerings and meat offerings, drink offerings, and the feast days, the new moon, Shabbats, and all the solemnities of the house of Yasharal. He shall prepare the sin offering, the meat offering, the burnt offering, the peace offering, to make what? Reconciliation for the house of Yasharal. And where did we just read? Whose job was that to do that? Aaron. But now it just said the prince. Aaron was never a prince. But you see him making Yahushua son of Jehoshaphat that, and then it said it would be with the branch. So this was a similitude. You got to follow me now. Make sure that you're picking up what we're putting down now. Let's look at some more. Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, in the first of the month, you shall take a young bullock without blemish and cleanse the sanctuary. The priest shall take the blood of the sin offering and put it upon the posts of the house, upon the four corners of the settle of the altar, upon the posts of the gate of the inner court. And so shall the 7th of the month for everyone that err, and for him that is simple. So shall you reconcile the house. Because remember, right, we're also looking at elements of Mashiach's kingdom. And Mashiach's kingdom, what were the possibility for people to do? It is to be in error. Why are the people in error? Because the law will go forth from Jerusalem. There's some people who weren't serving you who are going to be there. Notice he said for the simple. Don't be simple. Michael, you simple? That's disrespect. Don't never let nobody call you simple. You spit in their face. In your mind. I mean, I'm simple. Nigga call you simple, they just called you stupid. You know that? Oh man, oh yeah. Nigga be like, this nigga simple. Man, I mean one day, man, we were young, man. That nigga Rodney said that about his cousin Bruce. I mean, this nigga simple. Well, I died laughing. Because that's disrespect. Nigga call you simple, that's beyond calling you stupid. You know what I'm saying? That's an old people way of being disrespectful. Simpleton is maximizing the disrespect. You know what I'm saying? Just like the other day, girl I went to school with say a man walked up to her, looked in the face and say, dang, you a handsome woman, and walked off. But I was like, I said, I bet he was old. She was like, yeah, he looked like he was sick, because that's old people talk. See, some people, when they say it, they mean, oh, you ugly. But if depending on their age, that's what they said for a beautiful woman. That's a handsome woman.
I was gonna say, I don't know.
You saying that because you don't come from that time period where people talk like that. But they just, well, oh, that's a beautiful. To say somebody was a woman was handsome was not a term of disrespect, because handsome just meant that you look good. You know what I'm saying? See, handsome now is equated to masculinity. You know what I'm saying? But she was like, I didn't know how to take that. She said, I thought with my strong jawline, you might have thought I was a man. That's her words, not mine. I didn't say it. She did. I ain't never thought about her having a strong jawline until she said it. And I've known this nigga over 20 years. When you look at simple, and it's a word, it's in the book of Proverbs, it means pathe. And what it means is someone who is naive, also someone who is foolish or open-minded. You know how people tell you need to be open-minded. The book say don't do that. An open mind leads to your butt being somewhere you don't want to be. Because when you open your mind, you give the devil a chance to tap dance on your thoughts, and then you're going to be in trouble. But let's continue. 45, and 21. He said, in the 1st and the 14th day of the month, you shall have Passover 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten. And upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering. See, now this is the thing. Yahushua don't have to prepare an offering for himself because he's already done that. But notice who said he would prepare it. It would be the prince. The law, you could go back and look in the law with this same sacrifice, and it'll tell you that the high priest got to do it. And also you should have the link into that because it said that it would be for the people, for a sin offering. Let's look at verse 23. And the 7 days of the feast shall he prepare a burnt offering to Yahuwah, 7 bullocks, 7 rams without blemish, daily, 7 days, a kid for goats daily for a sin offering. He shall prepare a meat offering of ephah for a bullock, an ephah for a ram, and a hin of oil for ephah. In the 7th and the 15th day of the month shall he do like in the feast of the 7 days, according to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, according to the meat offering, according to the oil. Notice that with tabernacle, I don't even mention it with tabernacles. It just lets you know you already know, because what did we read in Zechariah? If they don't show up on tabernacle, guess what they ain't getting? Rain. Ezekiel 46 and 1. Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, the gate of the inner court that look towards the east shall be shut 6 working days, but on the Shabbat it shall be open, and the day of the new moon it shall be opened, and the prince shall enter in by the way of the porch without, and shall stand by the post of the gate, and the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings. He shall worship at the threshold of the gate. He shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of his gate before Yahuwah and Shabbat and the new moons. And in the burnt offerings that the prince shall offer unto Yahuwah in the Shabbat shall be 6 lambs without blemish, a ram without blemish. We don't keep going on that because we keep on going all night. But the point of the matter is, you see who's offering these, right? It is a man who is a priest for order of Melchizedek. See, here's another instance where you know this is the high priest, and this is Leviticus 44, and I'm going to read it to you real quick. Like, I'll pick it up at verse 17 on general principle.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
So when Saul reigned as the king, this was all the prince duties was Saul and Jonathan.
No. Jonathan wasn't a priest. Those duties fell on. The only high priest mentioned by name was Eli. Remember, his sons were evil, and he was high priest. He the one who fell and broke his neck.
So what the prince is? Like,
The prince here, that's Yahusha.
oh, so I'm thinking the prince is under the king as in like
The prince here is Yahusha operating as a priest after the order of Melchizedek on the earth.
Okay.
44 and 17 Ezekiel. It shall come to pass when they enter in at the gates of the inner court, they shall be clothed with linen garments. No wool shall come upon them while they minister in the gates of the inner court and within. They shall have linen bonnets on their heads. They shall have linen breeches upon their loins. They shall not gird with anything that causes sweat. And when they go forth into the utter court to the people, they shall put off their garments when they minister and lay them in wash chambers, and they shall put on other garments, and they shall sanctify the people with their garments. Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads. You know what that means? That's where Paul get that from. Man shouldn't have long hair. We didn't talk about that before. Because if you say that this man made you kings and priests, guess what that means? That pertains to you, because this would be in the kingdom, and you ain't gonna be able to get yourself around that. And in Revelation chapter 1, he says that he has redeemed us to be kings and priests. He also said it in Revelation 5. So he just told you right here that the priests neither shall shave their heads nor allow their locks to grow long. They will only poll their heads. Polling your head is mean you would do like what his name was, Absalom. You would trim it. You would cut it down. So it's not necessarily that you would have like a low cut per se, but if your hair was getting long, you would trim it to where it would be at a spot where it wouldn't be long.
What you just saying before that black man shaving?
He said they shouldn't shave their heads, meaning cut their head bald. A priest.
Oh, priest.
Somebody just had something come up. I don't know what it was.
Well, so y'all can shave your head long. Just not. Or you wouldn't advise marrying your shave your head long?
No, I mean he's talking about priests, and he's talking about during this time with them. Go ahead.
Yeah, can you tell me the what book is that again?
That's Ezekiel 40. We're in Ezekiel 44. We're in verse 20 right now.
All right.
So when you see that, neither shall they shave their heads nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall only poll their heads. I get the words for you so y'all can see what it say. And we talked about this a long time ago. It's been a while because it's not something that we just gonna constantly focus on. So galak is the word. It is to shave off, to poll, to shave off, or to be bald. Now, see, there's a difference if you are bald versus shaving yourself bald. There's a difference. Because if you're bald, then you're bald. You know what I'm talking about? You can't, if it fall out, it fall out. Ain't no much you can do about that. Now, when they say they shall not suffer their locks to grow long, suffer their locks is parah. That's hair, that's long hair of head, that is locks. That is what the word says. That's what it says. That's what it is. It says not to grow long. That is shalak. and that is to extend, to shoot forth, to let down, to shoot, to go over, to cast out, to be sent, to stretch out. So you won't allow your hair to stretch out. Now, when you deal with pole, it says you will only pole your hair. Pole is kasam, that's to cut, clip, trim, or shear. That's what that means. That's what that says. Niggas can take it for how they want. I'm just telling you where he got that from. You know what I'm saying? That's where Paul got that from about a man shouldn't have long hair. That's where he get it from. This is the basis of book where he get that from. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you before, a lot of people think that man was making up stuff, but he's just saying book. Look at verse 21. Neither shall any priest drink wine when they enter into the inner court. Neither shall they take for their wives a widow, nor her that is put away, but they shall take maidens of the seed of the house of Yasharal, or a widow that had a priest before. Come over here to Leviticus 21 so you can see what that means. Because a high priest can't marry no whore. That wasn't a commandment for all the people. That was a commandment for the high priest. Let's take a look. 21:1. I just want you to see that this is Aaron talking. This is him talking to Aaron. Yahuwah said unto Moses, speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron. Not the Levites, the sons of Aaron, because Yahuwah's law is still the same. So this is how you know this is a high priesthood he's talking about. This is relating to Mashiach. A high priest could not marry a whore. He had to marry a virgin. You know what I'm talking about? And he's going to tell you that. But notice that he put a caveat in there, or one who had a widow before, one who had a priest before. You understand? We talked about that before. That's that Romans 7, where he say that if your husband be dead and you can be married to another and you dead through the law, that you might be married to Hamashiach. But I'll bring it up again tomorrow, y'all willing. Because I'm finna get y'all off here. It's 11:45. Yahuwah said unto Moses, and speak unto the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say unto them, none of them shall be defiled for the dead among his people, but for his kin that is near unto him, for his mother, for his father, for his son, for his daughter, for his brother, for his sister, a virgin that is near unto him, which have had no husband, for her he may be defiled. Notice if that woman doesn't have a husband or she doesn't have sex, he can't make himself unclean for that woman. You know what I'm talking about? Don't matter. Them the rules. He said he shall not defile himself, a chief man among his people, to profane himself. It's part of the reasons why Yahushua didn't commit sin. They shall not make baldness upon their head. That's why you see that in Ezekiel. Neither shall they shave the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh. See, that's when dudes come tell you, oh man, see, you can't shave your beard. I seen a dude can't, that's what they were talking about, Gina, where your beard at. If you think Yahuwah looking at somebody having a beard being righteous or not, you need to slap yourself in the mouth. Because something wrong with you. Let me just show you that, not the corners of your beard, so y'all can remember what that means. Corner is pa, that's the corners, the side, the quarter, the extremity. Do you know why those people did that at that time? And of course, your beard is beard chin. Because they were worshiping idol gods. So he was wanting them to make a distinction between them and the priests of the land of Canaan at that time. They shall be Kadash unto their Elohim. They shall not profane the name of their Elohim. For the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire and the bread of their Elohim they do offer. Therefore they shall be Kadash. They shall not take a wife that is a whore or profane. Neither shall they take a woman put away from her husband, for he is Kadash unto his Elohim. So a priest can't marry a divorced woman or a whore. And guess what Israel was? A divorced woman and a whore. You know what I'm talking about? That's why she had to be born again. And then when he died, you become a widow, and then he can marry you again. Because that's when he said he devised the means to bring his banished back unto him. Because if not, you scoff. But see, these dudes be so big of experts that they don't know that. Why they talking about all you got to do is repent. This man can't marry you again, nigga. He can't do it. He'll be breaking his own law. If he was to take us, if Yahushua didn't come, this is why they do be talking about, oh, it's David. These people are so woefully inept in their skills in the word that they don't understand. You're a whore. He can't marry you. He can't be with you. See, you see the mercy of Yahuwah. See, that's the mercy of Yahuwah for him coming up with a plan, because the law leaves no mercy for you to be brought back to him. The law don't need, you just read it, right? The law ain't got no mercy for you. Law say whore, divorced woman, you're done. Let's look at Revelation 3. So you can see Mashiach sitting on his throne and being preached at the same time, and we're gonna get out of here. Revelation chapter 3. 3 and 20. Y'all see the mercy of Yahuwah in that right there, though? Because the law say that he can't marry you, right or wrong. But he came up with a way to do it. He said, if I die and I make you a widow and resurrect from the dead, I can marry you again and you could be spared. And I keep my covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. See, that's mercy. Law can't produce that. The law say you're done. Revelation 3 and 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. And if any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcome will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I've overcome and am set down with my Abba in his throne. So we're just establishing him sitting in a throne, correct? So let's come over here to Hebrews 7 and establish this man being in the inner sanctum, making sacrifices on your behalf so that you can see him literally operating as a priest after the order of Melchizedek. You got an inkling in Ezekiel, right? I think I stopped. We picked this up in Hebrews 7:21. Matter of fact, I'll make it 19. Shoot, make it 18. Shoot, 17 is fine. He say, for he testified, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. For there is truly a disannulling of the commandment going before the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. When Yahushua resurrected from the dead, that disannulled Numbers 18. Now, Numbers 18 is gone. So when you hear all these dudes talking about only the Levites supposed to get doggone tithes, you going to hell, boy. Because you still holding to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You ain't took hold of the tree of life, you jackass. Because you supposed to know the book well enough to know that tithes were given to Abraham and Melchizedek while Levi was still in Abraham's loins. So guess what that means Levi did? Tithed in Melchizedek. So if you're talking about tithes that they go to the Levites, you are unlearned man. And you ought to shut your mouth. Because we don't care about no Levitical priesthood. We're not under that priesthood. Tithes were before Levi, boy. And guess what? Abraham ain't just tied to Melchizedek no fruits and grains. He said he tied everything that he had. And he said he had silver and gold and cattle. He gave that man a tenth of everything he had. So keep that fruit and grain talk to yourself, you dummy. You know what I'm talking about? Just repeating stupid stuff from stupid people. You know what I'm talking about? That junk pissed me off because it's not about your tithing. It's about you repeating bad information. You know what I'm talking about? Because we supposed to know better than that for people who claim we the people of God and we just study the word and we know the word so much better than these Christians and you still stupid as them and got the nerve and audacity to talk about them people. And most of them Christians got a better understanding than you do. They just don't understand the script like you do. When I say understanding, meaning they get the point. Because I told you, I talked to a Christian the other day and they knew off top why it wouldn't be no law in the kingdom. Off top. Don't even know no word like that. They say, yeah, why would there be law there? Everybody would be righteous. There ain't gonna be no sin there. This somebody don't know the word like that. You can find a Hebrew been in the word 20 years, man. They'll argue you down. You're gonna keep the law in God's kingdom. This somebody ain't been in the word a good strong 6 months and know that. They just didn't have the understanding where I could dice it up and find it in the script and explain it to you. You know what I'm talking about? That's it. But they understood the concept. The laws literally said that. The laws for sinners. Why would the law be in the kingdom of God? Nobody be a sinner. You know what I'm talking about? See, these boys, niggas so worried about proving people wrong that they ain't trying to win no souls. Because guess what? That person right there who said that, all they need is the information. Who knows what you will do for them once you get to them? You know what I'm talking about? But you worry about what day they go to church versus just all you do is give them the information. You will get them right. But you niggas go sit down every Sabbath and wicked as hell. With your fringes on. With your name changed. With your sandals on. Don't wash your feet. You know what I'm talking about? Feet dirty. You look like a foot dragon from 21st and Feet. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, black behind feet, raggedy hoe. You know what I'm talking about? I don't even know if hoes walk around here with dirty feet no more. They still walk around here with dirty feet. I don't know, man. I don't be out here like that no more. I don't be seeing, it's like this, man. I be all across this city. I don't never see nobody outside. How does crime happen in this city and nobody is ever outside? I'm talking about, we in the hood, on the west side. I don't be out east at all. On the north side, because a lot of jobs, we just don't have no jobs out east, so I don't be out east at all. You know what I'm saying? But when we did have jobs out east, I did see more niggas out east outside than I see niggas on the north side outside. Got to be. But I know when I was young, niggas was outside all day. I don't see nobody outside. I don't see churn outside. I don't see niggas outside selling drugs. I don't see nobody. I don't see drunks outside.
I see drunks outside.
I don't see prostitutes outside. I don't see nobody.
I was on 103rd outside.
Now, I ain't gonna lie. I see a lot of stuff walking down 103rd Lane. Mainly Lane. Stay off Lane Avenue. You be on Lane Avenue? Doris, you be on Lane Avenue? Don't stop at that Speedway. Even the Home Depot over there don't look spruced up and shiny. Yeah, it's still open. Not the one on 103rd. The one on Lane, yeah.
That karaoke night.
Yeah. Let me finish this out. We got 2 hours and 45 minutes. For truly there is a disannulling of the commandment going before the weakness and unprofitableness thereof. For the law made nothing perfect, but bringing in of a better hope, by which we draw near unto Elohim, insomuch as not without an oath. I'm just talking about people, because we live in Florida, man. Niggas like to come outside. For those priests were made without an oath, but this with an oath by him that said unto him, Yahuwah swear and will not repent. You are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. I mean, that's an eternal promise. But so much was Yahushua made a surety of a better testament. And they truly were many priests, because they were not suffered to continue by reason of death. But this, because he continued forever, have an unchangeable priesthood. Wherefore he is able to save them to the uttermost that come unto Elohim by him, seeing that he ever lived to make intercession for them. For such a high priest became us, Kadash, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, made higher than Shamahim, who need not daily as those high priests to offer up sacrifice first for his own sins. You saw how we read that in the law? But then for the people, for this he did once when he offered up himself. For the law make men high priests which have infirmity, but the word of an oath which was since the law. So you see this here? The word of the oath is before the law. The Son who is consecrated forevermore. And that's what a lot of brothers don't realize, is that the promise is before the law. The promises was before the law. That's why he offered them the tree of life. The promises was before the law. But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. Of course, we got more to deal with when it comes to just that part with the priesthood. Y'all willing, we can still get some more examples of people walking in the fruits of the spirit and not dying. But just showing the differences between the two priesthoods, as you can see, that take a lot of time, because you got to run down the foundational information before you can start pinpointing, because you got to understand where the basis of where all this stuff come from. But I appreciate y'all time this evening. Bless y'all, the house of Elohim, in the name of Yahushua. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Yahuwah willing, man, we'll pick it up on tomorrow and continue on. Prayerfully understanding was given. If you got any questions, you can go ahead and let that be known now before I slide off of here. Everybody understood everything?
Yep. There's a lot of info.
Oh, praise you. All right, so everybody good? So, I don't care what you got. No, go ahead.
It was one of the first questions you asked about Abraham. What? I guess.
Ain't no big deal, brother.
It was about Abraham and Melchizedek.
What about?
I guess how, why he was told about
Melchizedek? I didn't catch the answer for that.
Amen. Oh, he was talking about Melch because he wasn't raised from a man who had the word of Yahuwah to teach it to him. So he got it from Melchizedek. Now, see, because Brother Oda just said he got checked on the tithe situation. That's something we didn't talk about that for years. That's why I'm saying it ain't a big deal. You know what I'm talking about? Because Brother Otis ain't no teacher, so that's not no big deal. But it's dudes that teach people that. That's bad teaching. And the reason why it's bad teaching is because we stay so focused on the law and not understanding that you're supposed to be focused on that tree of life. Because as we read earlier in Genesis 14, right? It said he tithed to Melchizedek, correct? We didn't read it, but when you read in Genesis 28, Jacob said that he would tithe. Who did you think he would be tithing to? There had to be a priest of Elohim in the land for him to tithe to, for him to even say that they were going to tithe. And you know where they were at? They were in Salem. So that means they were in the land of Canaan. They were in the land. They were in Jerusalem. He just wasn't called Jerusalem yet. You know what I'm saying? But because that's what he was, the king of Salem. He was the king of Jerusalem. And they tithed to him. And that's what that Hebrews 7 begins with, talking about the tithes, to show you that that priesthood is greater than the priesthood of Aaron and the priesthood of Levi, because these things were already being done in this priesthood while Levi was still in the loins of Abraham, because Abraham hadn't produced Isaac and Isaac hadn't produced Jacob and Jacob hadn't produced Levi, and yet you have a witness of a tithe to a priest, of a priesthood that's greater than the priesthood of Aaron. Because look what he said, every high priest of Aaron is going to do one thing, and that's die. And then he has to be replaced. And every priest after the priesthood of Aaron has to go in and make reconciliation for himself and then the people. Melchizedek don't have to do that. You know what I'm talking about? See, what I told you before, see, the issue with the tithes come into this. Number one, you should make sure that you tithe to somebody who Yahuwah gave the word to. See, what most people get messed up at, you just tithing to anybody. You know what I'm talking about? And then, of course, you know, it's situations where with the tithes, the offerings, and all that, where Paul and we got power to take it, but we don't, because we're not going to be chargeable. But if a man got it and he was of Yahuwah, he wouldn't be wrong, because you read it in Timothy. He say, why would you muzzle the ox that tread out the corn, and that there should be double honor to to elders who labor in the word and doctrine. See, the problem is that individuals think that men should be able to do that, like Paul stated. You think that at the end of the day, I was talking to Will about this the other day. And again, I didn't want to clarify. I ain't saying this here for you niggas to give me no money. What I'm telling you is I'm just letting that be known. You know what I'm talking about? The level of spiritual currency that somebody teaching you the word is giving you, the money that you could give back doesn't equate. It's not even on the same page. You know what I'm talking about? There's no way that you can equate. That's what Paul said. If I sow you spiritual things, he said it's a small thing that I reap your carnal things, because the spiritual things that you sow is going to last with you forever. The carnal things that you give is only temporary, so they don't equal out. But I get it, because men take advantage of it and use that as a means to sell the gospel. It's supposed to be unchargeable. You know what I'm talking about? But if you tied to a man or gave to a man, that don't mean that he wrong. And now, I remember a lady said that we supposed to tie. You can't bring nobody no doggone fruits and vegetables, man. What that man gonna do with that? Them people wasn't doing that. We talked about this before. If you want to take that Levitical route, them people had we read it the other day. Them people had the stuff they wanted to offer, and if they didn't want to offer it, they turned it into money, and the priest kept the money so they could keep whatever they had. We can read too many places where it said they gave these men money for their labor. You know what I'm talking about? You got building, you got all this stuff, but brews get in here and they be dumb, because they trying to make sure that they show this great big old difference from the Christian church, instead of just making sure you understand the word and teach it properly. You know what I'm talking about? Because if a man really teaching the word, he don't want your money anyway. You know what I'm talking about? Because you're going to think your money is going to cause him to teach or judge how you want him to. You know what I'm talking about? And at the end of the day, How do you think things gonna be done for the body? Niggas have to give money. Do you not understand these people took collections for post saints to take it to them? You think they just walked up with baskets of fruit? You know what I'm talking about? You literally read about the lady who threw her last mite in the doggone box, right? Y'all know about that, right? Oh, man. So you mean to tell me Glory and Dory, y'all don't know about this here? Who threw her last mite? Come over, I think it's the book of Luke. That's what we're going to call you, y'all. Glory and Dory. Glory and Dory. I ain't wrong either. Luke 21 is what I want. That sounds like an old folk group. Glory and Dory. That gonna work for you. We could print up the album covers. Y'all can have your guitars. Glory and Dory. Which one of y'all can sing?
Neither.
That nigga said I can't, but I will. Luke 21:1. And he looked up and saw the rich man casting their gifts into the treasury. And he saw also a certain poor widow casting in thither 2 mites. He said, of a truth I say unto you that this poor widow have cast in more than they all. For all these have their abundance cast into the offerings of Elohim, but she of her penury have cast in all the living that she had. So you got these people literally tossing literal money in an offering, and these dudes be walking around here talking about fruits and vegetables. And this woman threw her last in there. You know why she threw her last in there? Her trust in God was so great. She wasn't worried about throwing her last in there because she know what? Yahuwah gonna provide my needs. I ain't worried about that. That's why her offering meant more, because she had little and gave that little. That the money they threw in there didn't mean nothing. Not to them in comparison to what they had. But you know also the sad part a lot of brews be doing too? They want people to feel bad for being rich. Man, ain't nothing wrong. You ain't wicked because you got money. You know what I'm saying? Don't mean you righteous. Don't mean you wicked. That's what that's what dude said before. Your righteousness said your money ain't gonna save you. Who said it did? Because I'm telling this nigga, bro, we on a job site, bro. We trying to get to the money. Nigga, we grown men. Your money ain't gonna save you. Who said it was? Nobody said that. You know what I'm saying? You got niggas get in the word, they want to be bums. I told you niggas be dusty. Niggas look just dreary. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga look like nigga ain't shaved in weeks. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga beard just don't be growing out. That nigga just be peasy. You know, a peasy beard is a horrible beard. When you look like you got chest hair on your face. You know what I'm talking about? That ain't right. Man, comb that junk. Get you some beard balm. Get you some beard conditioner. They got products for that.
I need some beard balm.
Man, get you some Scotch Porter, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I use.
I want mine full connect.
Man, get you some Scotch Porter, beard balm, beard serum, beard conditioner. I use Scotch Porter. Mm-hmm. Brother Otis, you know I ain't lying. These niggas be looking dusty. That nigga shirt dingy. He just washed it. Okay, I'll deal with that. Let me get off this camera because this is touching 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? It's already after midnight. But yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Nigga, he will be acting like, man, you can't get fresh. Nigga think I'm supposed to walk around here with these dusty behind t-shirts some of these niggas be selling, man. That junk be a low quality. I don't want to buy that junk. You supposed to support your brother, but your clothes ugly though. Just because you Hebrew, I'm supposed to spend my money on clothes I ain't gonna wear. Oh, so you just want to spend it with the white man on the label. I don't care about their stuff neither. I gotta like it. I don't care who make it. You know what I'm talking about? I gotta like it. And if I don't like it, I ain't wearing it. You know what I'm talking about? I remember dude had some Timbs though. They were called Ox. Them Timbs was fresh, but I don't think he's selling them. You know what I'm talking about? He had his own Timberland boots. You know what I'm talking about? They were decent. You know what I'm talking about? And I can't cap on him. I just ain't never get around. I wasn't thinking about wearing no boots at the time. It be, you know what I'm talking about? I just don't. Look at you. Them nuts ain't doing it for you.
I'm trying to go back.
You ain't no dinner. You chewing on them nuts hard.
It's mixed. It's a trail mix.
And what's in trail mix? Nuts. You like your nuts salty, huh? Nasty nigga.
You ain't right.
I sure ain't.
You ain't right.
But don't pay me no mind because I'm tired. So nevertheless. But yeah, man, ain't nothing wrong with shoot. But most of the brothers on here own their own company. You know what I'm saying? Dudes want to make you feel bad about being successful because you a broke bastard, lazy, no good nigga, and you want somebody to feel sorry for you. You know what I'm talking about? So you want me to be broke with you. I will not. You know what I'm talking about? I will not. I'm not going to be broke with you to make you feel bad about yourself because you lazy, you inconsistent, and undisciplined. You know what I'm saying? You can get on. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to be broke. I've been broke before. I didn't like it. You been broke before? It sucks. You know what I'm talking about? And guess what? It sucks 3 times as much as a man because when you broke as a man, niggas looking at you like, this broke nigga right here. Everybody disrespect you. Men disrespect you. Women disrespect you. Children disrespect you. Everybody like this. Look at this broke nigga right here. You ever been a man and been broke before? No, I'm trying to tell you. They say it always bothers me. We'll be talking about money as the root of all evil and always bother like this. See, remember, he didn't say money was the root of all evil. He said the love. See, you can get money and not love it. You know what I'm talking about? And I get money every day. I don't love that junk. What's the love about it? It's a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. That junk ain't no different than the doggone sledgehammer in the garage. That junk ain't no different than the doggone crowbar we use to pop that siding off that house. It's just a tool. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. You know what I'm talking about? It's a tool to be able to further your aims. See, the problem is when you set your heart on it and you worried about it that you got to protect it so much, now it done became your God. That's a problem. Because then you'll do anything to get it. See, I knew that in the street. When you love money, you'll do anything to get it. I don't trust a nigga who love money because he'll sell you out. You know what I'm talking about? I felt like that before the word. I don't trust no nigga who love money. I mean, he'll do anything to get it. You can't trust somebody who love money. They'll do anything to get it. But you can always trust somebody who love Yahuwah. But Yahuwah willing till tomorrow, on tomorrow. What you got for me?